lights. A kind request to all those at the back at the stall to kindly take your seats so that we can commence proceedings. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the HP and the Economic Times Enterprise Digital Transformation Summit 2016. At the outset, I request all of you to kindly keep your communication devices on silent mode through the duration of this summit. Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our partners for this summit. Title partner, HP, powered by Intel, media partner, Stuff Magazine, the tech portal, Inc. 42. Association partner, CIO Club, and live webcast partner, 24 Frames Digital. I request you to post your questions over Twitter using the hashtag digital transformation and tag at @ET_Edge. The best questions will be answered by the expert panelists later on in the evening. Digitization in today's emerging digital consumer economy has led to extended reach, improved management, and speedy development and service. This means that digital technologies have a pervasive influence on all areas of the organization, from affecting the customer experience to enhanced productivity. Digital transformation is no doubt changing the competitive landscape, spreading not just to commerce, but to education and other government activities such as obtaining a passport or filing of income tax returns. To give you more insights, I would now like to invite Ms. Archana Tiwari Naidu, Content Head, Times Conferences Limited, Bennett Coleman and Company, to deliver the opening address. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly put your hands together for Ms. Archana Tiwari Naidu.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very warm welcome to a very special evening. I think before I start the formal welcome address, today is a very proud day for India as we take a stance against terrorism. And like we were speaking, that technology is at the core of everything. So I think we should be really proud as all the people who are providing the technology support and the strength to the nation. So welcome to the Enterprise Digital Transformation Summit 2016, which is brought to you by HP and Economic Times. We at ET_Edge extend a very warm welcome to our chief guest, Shri P.P. Chaudhary, Honorable Minister of State for Information and Technology, Government of India, Mr. V.K. Gautam, Principal Secretary, Directorate of IT, Government of Maharashtra, Mr. Vineet Goenka, Member of Task Force IT, Ministry of Road Transport, Highways, Shipping, Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan, Managing Director and CEO, Bombay Stock Exchange, Mr. Karan Johar is almost on his way, the award-winning filmmaker. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very good lineup of speakers, thought-provoking ideas, discussion, debates. In fact, the day started, before the formal evening started today, we already had 2 parallel sessions, which were the closed-door roundtables that we conducted. The idea behind organizing such event summits at ET_Edge is very simple. We want to create community platforms where people can come together as one community and discuss the ideas and the problem areas and the solutions. Because somewhere in the open sessions, probably a lot of things are not discussed, hence these parallel sessions were organized, and we'll be bringing out a white paper on that. One was on manufacturing, the other one was on BFSI, as to how technology can be optimized in these two very critical sectors, because as you know, manufacturing, the whole world manufacturing is going to be metamorphosizing, because the word printing is taking the shape when we have 3D printing and additive manufacturing taking its place. And with all the technological innovations that are happening in the technology space, I think these are very, very important core sectors where we should be talking about how the enterprises are changing by the way of digitization. So going by the theme that enterprise digital transformation is a big buzzword, and I think this buzzword has earned its positioning because of several reasons for what it stands for. It stands for growth, it stands for positivity, it stands for India taking a leap into the whole world scenario where it is not at the bottom of the pyramid, but it is taking several steps up in the ladder. And when we are talking about manufacturing, when we are talking about components being made, it is very important that India manufactures a lot of components which are import substitutes. And so somewhere the whole evolution of digitization is evolving between making better things and making things better. So while the buy versus create is a big discussion, there are a lot of enterprises which are creating their own solutions, but there are a lot of companies which are also providing a lot of solutions to the whole industry. Advances in technology and digital communication have not only empowered the customers, as we all know, but enabled companies to collect, collate, and analyze the data in the new ways that better inform strategic decisions and change how they operate. So we have, during this today, we have a lot of people who are policymakers who are going to talk to us about how the government or the policymakers sees the whole technological digitalization of India. Then we have somebody who's actually done it. BSE is one of the pioneers in making sure that they have a real-time information of the stocks. Then we have the films, that how the film industry itself, the making of the movies is changing because of digitization. So with all this in store, I don't want to take too much of time and don't want to await the action. So enjoy the evening, make sure that you optimize it, and we'll make sure that India is at par with the rest of the nation when it comes to digitization. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Archana, for your very crisp opening welcome address. It is my pleasure now to invite on the dais Shri P.P. Chowdhury, Honorable Minister of State for Information and Technology, Government of India, to deliver the chief guest address. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly put your hands together for Shri P.P. Chowdhury.
Mr. V.K. Gautam, Principal Secretary, Directorate of IT, Government of Maharashtra, Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan, Managing Director and CEO, Bombay Stock Exchange, Mr. Karan Johar, filmmaker, I think he must be here just now, Mr. Girish Menon, Director, Media and Entertainment, KPMG India, Dr. Lalit Kanodia, Founder CEO, TCS, distinguished delegates from industry, government and PSUs, distinguished invitees, and friends from the print and electronics media. It is a privilege indeed to be the guest of honor at the Economics Times Enterprise Digital Transformation Summit 2016. I thank Economics Times and HP Group for organizing this event and inviting me to speak on this important occasion and share some thoughts on India's digital readiness and preparedness to deal with digital disruptions. Friends, it was just about a decade back that the digital technologies were commonly identified with computers and few other electronic devices. Apart from these obvious symbols of gadgets and digital technologies were seen to be only for the experts. Today we are witnessing what may be called digital disruption across a wide range of human endeavor. The ubiquitous nature of digital technologies has made it difficult to draw a clear line between what is digital and what is not digital. Whether they are mobiles, household gadgets, or even automobiles, most products have a large content of electronics and digital technologies or involve digital technologies for production. The terms 3D printing, robotics, virtual reality, drones, Internet of Things, IoT, and so on were until recently considered to be in the realm of possibility, but in the distant future. Today, many of these technologies are being applied in different spheres. Friends, India has been a major provider of IT services to the world. As we see, as on today, India has occupied almost 60% of the export in the IT-enabled services. The 40% is remaining part of the world, and almost we are exporting about 8 lakh crores, and we are doing well in it on account of the fact that we have skilled people in IT-enabled services, we are having engineers, we are having scientists, we are having entrepreneurs. While India needs to continue to remain internationally competitive in the IT field, the domestic market for IT is also set for a major expansion. It shows the vision of the Prime Minister about the digital India in every walk of life. And we see, I will submit before you after some time, that how a phenomenal growth. It is only a sector where we have achieved the tremendous growth. As a matter of fact, the world of IT has got totally transformed with the integration of financial services with IT platforms, rise of digital aggregation services, e-commerce, and all pervasive social media. The oncoming wave of the Internet of Things may well make the traditional distinction between electronic hardware and software a thing of the past. It may not be wrong to say that the world today is witnessing a new wave, or rather a deluge of digital technologies whose disruptive impact will be cross-cutting and across borders. Naturally, the question arises as to whether India is ready to take advantage of this new wave and what really should be done to ensure that India rides this wave to become a developed country. No doubt we have not seen and taken the benefit of the industrial revolution. But this is a high time for the business, for the India as a whole, for the young India as a whole, to see the digital revolution. And I think India can win this battle. And he can one of the country as a leading the digital revolution, because looking to the population of the country, it is around 130 crores, 1.3 billion. And the consumer market is so great. We are having the galaxy of the engineers, scientists, and now we will train these people as skilled people for in electronics and IT sectors. Friends, digital readiness is a multidimensional concept. It has a diverse interpretation depending upon the individual or the entity involved. For the policymaker, digital readiness implies the capacity to use digital technologies to reach out to the citizen and to be able to bridge the gap between the digital haves and have-nots. It means finding ways of involving citizens in the process of growth and development by using digital technologies. It means taking steps to strengthen institutions of governance by using digital technologies. Being digitally ready would also require putting in place IT infrastructure which is needed for computing, storage, as well as fast connectivity. From the perspective of business enterprise, the proliferation of digital technology provides scope for growth and expansion. Digital technologies also provide the means and tools to various enterprises to become more competitive in their endeavors. But for that to happen, entrepreneurs must visualize the opportunities and prepare their organization to seize new opportunities. They will then need to change their human resources. Finally, for the consumer, it means the access to goods and services through the internet and e-commerce. The question that is relevant here is whether our entrepreneurs and the workforce are in position to take advantage of the changes arising from disruptive digital technologies. Are our consumers adequately trained and sensitized to transact safely over the digital medium? Are our schools and colleges producing the required manpower needed for digital tomorrow? We should not only think about digital India today, but we should also visualize the challenges and opportunities of the digital India tomorrow. Finally, what are the initiatives taken by the government to prepare the India to become the digitally ready? These are just a few questions among many others. Friends, I am sure this conference will discuss some of these issues and arrive at useful suggestions and ideas that we could take forward. On my part, I take this opportunity to highlight some of the key initiatives taken by the government under the Digital India program, whose components are aimed at making India digitally ready. The Digital India program is a multi-pronged effort of the government to capture the potential of information technology to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. As a matter of fact, each of the vision area and element of the Digital India program responds well with the theme chosen for this summit. The Digital India program has three vision areas, namely digital infrastructure as a utility for every citizen, governance and services on demand, and digital empowerment of citizens. Friends, the various initiatives under the Digital India program could be further placed into 7 broad action areas. The first relates to creation of IT infrastructure, followed by measures to transform the quality of governance through e-governance, promoting electronic manufacturing. Promotion of IT services constitute the next 2 sets of initiatives. These are complemented by initiatives in R&D, human resource development, including measures to bridge the digital divide. Last and not the least, the program initiative aimed at enhancing India's cyber security. Digital infrastructure is the foundation of digital economy. Connectivity and access to the internet and mobile are critical for all initiatives to be move forward. Keeping that in view, the Digital India program aimed to strengthen the infrastructure by expanding broadband highways, while the Ministry of Telecom is playing a major role in this regard. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, of which I am the State Minister, is working toward strengthening the IT infrastructure through the National Knowledge Network, which is for providing a high-speed network backbone for all knowledge-related institutions in the country. We are also leveraging cloud-based technology and tapping space technology for enabling service provision through our National Center of Geoinformatics, French, in order to make the interface between the citizen and residents with the government seamless and smooth, and to ensure efficient and provisioning of the services. The government has undertaken various initiatives in the area of e-governance. The most important initiative in this regard has been the implementation of the Aadhaar platform for giving a digital identity to every individual in the country. The Aadhaar enrollment has already reached a staggering figure of 1.04 billion residents in India, making it a unique project in the world. No doubt, some fear and apprehension have already been expressed from various quarters with respect to the cyber security, but we are taking care of it. The Aadhaar platform is now being leveraged for implementing the direct benefit transfer schemes, which would take subsidies and other benefits to the deserving. I would like to inform you that under the Aadhaar scheme, at least 74 schemes of the Government of India has already been seeded, maybe not the full, but to large extent. And on this account alone, the government has till now saved about 36,000 crore rupees on account of the direct benefit transfer. So it will be a measures to prevent the corruption to a large extent, misuse and leakage of money. And further, a closely related initiative is the Jan Dhan Yojana, which also rides on the Aadhaar platform and has helped make financial inclusion not just a dream but a reality. An important initiative called Jeevan Pramaan also operates on the Aadhaar platform to serve as a biometric authentication system for pensioners. The system provides authenticity to digital life certificate without necessity of pensioners being present in person. Since its launch, over 16.58 lakh pensioners have registered on the portal, and over 11 lakh 2,700 digital life certificates have been successfully processed. So under the Digital India scheme, the vision of the Prime Minister that the entire office should be personless, paperless and cashless. The E-Kranti framework is a vision for transforming governance by providing integrated services by utilizing emerging technologies like cloud and mobile platform to provide a host of services in an integrated manner. The government has also launched the digital locker system to enable citizens to securely store and share their documents with service providers who can directly access them electronically. So far, over 20.6 lakhs lockers have been opened. About 24.4 lakh documents have been self-uploaded. A national scholarship portal has also been launched to serve as a centralized platform for application and disbursement of scholarship to students under any scholarship scheme. the e-Sampark is a mechanism to connect the government directly with citizens across India by running mailer, outbound dialing and SMS campaigns. Friends, for transforming government functions and services successfully, citizen engagement is a very important. To that end, mygov.in platform has been extensively used to receive suggestions, opinions and feedback, and has helped to structure various policy initiatives. The platform has served an important means of interaction between the government and the citizen and between citizens as well, and has connected around 3.61 million users by now. Under this platform, we have seen that normally in democracy we say that it is a government of the people, by the people and for the people. First time, it may be elected by the people and government may work for the people. But first time in digital India, under this scheme we have realized it is the people, it is the government of the people, because all the schemes of the government, all the policies of the government are on this platform, and the people at last are in position to interact with the government, give their suggestions. Their suggestions are being taken into consideration. And this is a way of the government, creating a more transparency in the working of the system. And it is more conducive for the investment also. The other part of the world, the investor may know that this is a place where we can safely invest. Delivery of citizen-centric services close to place of residence of an ordinary citizen is a major objective under Digital India. In this regard, Common Services Centers scheme are aimed at providing ICT-enabled services to citizens. A total 2.29 lakh CSCs have been rolled out so far. Delivery of services like Aadhaar enrollment, update, banking, insurance, pension, railway, ticket, passport application, election card, carrying out digital literacy workshop. Educational services of NILET, etc. by the CSCs have made this a vibrant model for delivery of citizen services. This is a model, this is going to be a game changer of the country. Around 80 crore population lives in rural area. And as of now, this is a big digital divide. To bridge the digital divide, this is a modus operandi and the vision of the Prime Minister, that by 2017, every Gram Panchayat must have a high-speed internet. We are having 250,000 Gram Panchayat. And by that time, some of the services we have identified. These services are around 351. And these services are getting the citizens in their Gram Panchayat at their doorsteps. And the next steps, through these CSCs, these are called as Common Service Centers, but in some of the states are called in other names, depending upon the nomenclature given by that state. But finally, on the basis of because we can also use the existing towers and put the antenna with the different megahertz and providing the internet services as well as mobile services to the CSC, and through this CSC, we can provide a high-speed internet, Wi-Fi connection to the village, that Gram Panchayat, meaning thereby connecting 80 crore of population with the internet, and at the same time, we can empower and develop the capacities in them by way of providing the digital literacy. And for that purpose, the government has planned by 2020, 6 crores of our youth will be digitally literate in the rural area. Now you can see the potential. You can see the growth which we can foresee. And this is not only a challenge, but it is a big opportunity for our country. The list of e-governance initiative is indeed long, more information is readily available in public domain. My objective here has been to give you a flavor of wide range of applications that use digital technologies that have actually been put to use. Friends, each of these areas have been ample scope for industry to closely partner with government in improving the quality of government services and its interface with the citizens. So this is a great opportunity. Not it is for these people at large, but for the businesses also to avail the services. Electronics and IT hardware manufacturing is another major priority area for the government due to its potential to generate employment. The national policy on electronics is already in place. In this context, an important initiative is of setting up of an electronics manufacturing cluster, EMC. These EMCs are poised to attract investment and generate employment opportunities in the country. In order to boost domestic electronics manufacturing, the modified special incentive package scheme aims at providing financial incentives to offset disability and attract investment. The Electronic Development Fund policy has been put in place to provide for participation in venture funds to support R&D, innovation, and IP generation in various domains of electronics, IT, and nanoelectronics. Government has appointed CanBank Venture Capital Funds Limited as fund manager of the Electronics Development Fund. Friends, I would like to submit that as on today, we are importing around electronics goods worth of rupees 3,50,000 crores. It is vision of our Prime Minister that by 2019, we must reduce to the zero. There should be no import. Therefore, make in India and made in India both should go together. The made in India opportunity is available for our businesses. The make in India opportunity is available for the MNCs. And we have rolled out the carpet for them and provided all type of incentives and facilities. And even the government is ready to hear the stakeholders, to hear the MNCs, to hear the business. And we would provide all conducive atmosphere which is necessary for ease of doing business. And I think the inflow, FDI we have received, and the growth which we see in it is also a tremendous, and it is increasing day by day. The software technology parks of India, STPI, and an autonomous society under the MITI, and it promotes development and export of software and software services and create an environment conducive to entrepreneurship in area of ITs and ITs. The STPI is also the nodal agency for the India BPO promotion scheme and Northeastern BPO scheme, which is aimed at encouraging BPO or ITs operation across the country, including the small town and rural areas. These schemes would be formally launched on 3rd October 2016 in Delhi. Friends, research and development is extremely important for the country to keep pace. In the digital age, MITI is carrying out projects in various fields of perception engineering and bioinformatics. We are also undertaking collaborative research in 4G and 5G technology. MITI is facilitating ICT innovators, SMEs, and technology startups in ICT domain with regard to providing IPR support. The National Supercomputing Mission has been initiated to enable India to join the League of the World-Class Computing Power Nations. A scheme for increasing the supply of PhDs in the area of ESDM is also being implemented through various institutions, including the ITs and NITs. Friends, when we talk about R&D, then we talk about the intellectual property. Because for Digital India, we can't forget it. It is not only the manufacturing and IT-enabled services, these are important, but equally, side by side, we should also take care of R&D and creation of intellectual property in our country. We have seen various countries of the world where the spending, basically the small countries of the Europe, we can see the percentage of GDP, around more than 3% of their GDP goes for R&D and creation of intellectual property. And as in our country, it is less than 1%. So this is a sector and this is an area where we can also think of it. The MNCs is also seriously working on it, because there are two factors which is creating a conducive atmosphere in our country. One is pull factor. It is such a big market in the world, comprising of 1.3 billion of the people. And secondly, push factor. It may be of the case of the America, or it may be a case of China. The push factor, I mean, non-availability of the scientists, non-availability of the engineers and the skilled people in those countries. And this is a region that even some of the companies, as we are hearing, in China, they are working, but they are diversifying their businesses. This push and pull factor is not the region, but more region I can say that in India, if we compare the per hour labor, in China it comes to more than $3.5 per hour, but in India it is less than $1. So it is a difference of 30 to 40%. The manufacturing cost will be reduced, because the manpower input in manufacturing, or it may be in intellectual property, basically in intellectual property, creation of the intellectual property, the share of the manpower is almost 45%. And not only this, the creation of the infrastructure like construction and other infrastructure in our country, it is only 4 to 70% with comparison to other part of the world. And now recently, the GST has already been rolled out. On this count also, we will have again the 15% less. So this is a time that we can see the MNCs coming for manufacturing. We can see the MNCs coming for IT services. We can see the MNCs coming for intellectual property generation. So this is also time for indigenous business to involve in R&D and generate the intellectual property. Friends, in order to tackle the digital divide in the country, the government is targeting on knowledge, information, and content development. This is an imperative because India needs to build human resource to reap the demographic dividend and also to make citizens digitally ready in terms of their skills and knowledge. At the grassroots level, the National Digital Literacy Mission and the Digital Saksharta Abhiyan aim to make one person in every household in the country illiterate. The IT training is meant to enable beneficiaries to use IT and related applications for their livelihood and to enhance their employability. The National Digital Literacy Mission for rural area is being implemented with the collaboration of the state government through common service centers. Efforts are underway to enhance skills in ESDM sectors and promoting sector skill council for electronics, telecom, IT and ITs. Security in cyberspace is critical in order to reap the benefit of the digital economy. A national cybersecurity policy has been put in place with the stated mission of protecting information and information infrastructure and build the required capabilities. National Cyber Cooperation Center is being set up to anticipate and prepare for cyber attacks and to generate cybersecurity situational awareness. A botnet cleaning and malware analysis center is being implemented by the Indian Computer Emergency Response Team for detection of compromised system in India and to notify, enables cleaning and securing system of end users to prevent further malware infections. Friends, I hope that I have been able to get across the basic message that challenges that we face are really multifaceted. The digital challenges can be disruptive in a positive sense if we are well prepared and are able to leverage our strength properly. I may also add that being digitally ready today is not an option. It is a necessity and imperative for India if we have to develop and withstand the emerging challenges. The government on its part will not let go of this opportunity and will do everything possible to make India digitally ready. But this possibility can better achieved if our businesses, our academia join together. At the same time, it goes without saying that to be digitally ready, all the major stakeholders in the economy will need to play their role. The emerging technologies offer a plethora of opportunities to business enterprises and budding entrepreneurs who could become game changers by designing and producing IT and electronics products targeted to meet the domestic economy. Indian entrepreneurs can indeed create a niche market for themselves, which will also help them to become globally competitive. Friends, this summit brings together industry leaders, experts, and policy makers to discuss the future of digital readiness of India. I'm sure this interaction will yield new insights and help us shape dynamic and pragmatic initiative by all stakeholders. In the end, I would like to reiterate my deep appreciation for the initiative taken by the Economic Times and HP Group of bringing together various stakeholders and giving me the opportunity to be present here today. I look forward to your suggestions and ideas, and I assure you that we need suggestions and ideas. And whenever discussions are required, we are ready every time. And if those suggestions and ideas are conducive for investment and helpful for the country, then certainly those will be incorporated in the policy decision. I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shri P.P. Chaudhary, for a very insightful and detailed address. We are very grateful to you. I request Mr. Aman Kanjlia, Senior Director, Conferences, Times Conferences Limited, to present the Honourable Minister with a memento as a token of our appreciation. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Aman. We have a slight change in the sequence of events. It is my pleasure now to invite on the dais Mr. Karan Johar, filmmaker, and Mr. Girish Menon, Director Media and Entertainment, KPMG India, for a fireside chat titled Digital Silver Screens, how the digital evolution has helped transform the magical world of cinema. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Karan Johar, who wears several hats, that of a talk show host, reality show judge, writer, but one hat that suits him perfectly is that of a filmmaker. And also Mr. Girish Menon, Director of Media and Entertainment, KPMG India. Kindly put your hands together for him too.
Great. Thank you very much. So I understand that our session sort of got preponed, and thank you for sort of accommodating us. The theme of this conference really is around digital transformation, and this session particularly covers the impact of the digital technology and changes in technology on filmmaking, and also particularly on the art of filmmaking. And it's my privilege to have this conversation today with Karan Johar, who needs no introduction, and just to share his insights on this particular aspect. Let me just sort of dive into it, and thank you so much, Karan, for making it today.
Pleasure.
Right. So I think a good way to sort of get into this would be that it's been about 20 years since you sort of released your first movie, and in that context, what have you really seen changing over the last 20 years in terms of how has technology really impacted how you approach your movies and how you really make your movies?
Firstly, good evening, and thank you for accommodating us a little earlier. Apologies if that caused any inconvenience. To answer your question, I'm one of the rare few people who kind of made that shift. Me and Aditya Chopra, I think two filmmakers. Aditya had a film released in 1995 called Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, and I debuted in 1998 with Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. So there's been a sea change and transformation within the film fraternity where it comes to technology and it comes to the way we make movies. I don't even know, we actually used to edit our films on the Steenbeck, which was not even the digital format of editing, which is like the primitive almost method of editing, which we did right through Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. It was only a year after that, in 1999, where the Avid, which is the digitally driven, technology-driven format of editing. So I was one of those rare people from the current lot of filmmakers who actually edited my film, like literally, like scissor in hand. It was literally
both sides.
I have. Right. Even in terms of equipment and everything else, and when the Avid came on, it was like everyone was so trigger happy. It was like everyone was trying all kinds of things, moving things in different frames and fade outs and blurs. Everybody was more excited with the advent of technology within our realm of things. It's only when things relaxed that we understood that, this is here to stay and what to do with it. So, as I said, so much has changed. I don't know how to answer that question to you without really kind of conducting an opera, because from the editing formats to the arrival of computer graphics in our life, to everything, the way we make movies, see movies, the viewing experience, everything has been like phenomenal. The whole change has been completely diametrically phenomenal.
I understand. You're right. It's interesting if you see there are multiple areas where possibly there has been a significant change in the way technology has evolved. And what we could probably do is maybe pick up 2 or 3 areas where, and maybe just talk a little bit and get your views around that. First is let's start with the core of a lot of this is really the advent of digital cameras and how that's moved away from traditional formats of shooting. Right. How has that really changed how you approach, right?
Well, it's the death of celluloid, right? Right. It's really the term we used all through our formative years as student filmmakers and then as initial filmmakers. We called it celluloid. Right. It's no longer celluloid. We are all digital. So everything is like, we used to wait for a magazine to change, right. And we used to be a big deal. Now we change our tapes. Right. And there's so much that can happen. Everything is a button away. Right. You want to go brighter, want to go wider, want to go tighter, want to go softer, want to go anything. Right. You go digital, you open a plethora up. As a poetic, the poetic part of me feels shattered with this new advent, because there was a charm in the way you felt the characters on celluloid. And I know there are filmmakers even today that miss that feeling. Right. I just feel like there is something mildly or then sometimes very strongly synthetic about the way the final product is. But it's the order of the day. It's the order of our times.
Right.
And I know that film just felt, I don't know, it just felt special. It felt rare. It felt like these characters were in a real world and you were connecting to their lives on an organic and an honest level.
Right.
Today with digital, you just start feeling everything is mildly kind of, there is an artificiality that penetrates through the format and stays there. But of course you can circumvent that. And of course, you know, there are ways and means of even working around digital.
Right.
You know, we all know that green screen work and computer graphic work is now such a large part. I'm one of those reluctant filmmakers who always reluctant to green screen. And I've just come back from London and I had a meeting with the Double Negative guys who are working with us on a film.
Right.
And the head there, Namit, you know, who owns Prime Focus and has now taken over Double Negative. So Namit was telling me the biggest filmmakers in the world, be it Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, all of them are not so technology savvy, but they understand what it can do for their product.
Right.
You know, they understand that green screen is something not to fear. And there are some like Alfonso Cuarón, who did Gravity, who actually did not want the green screen at all. Everything was kind of projected.
Right.
You know, he did not want anything green. So there are filmmakers who don't like the idea of green screen at all.
Right.
And there are ways to kind of work around that.
Sure.
And then, you know, when we've traveled and worked and spoken to filmmakers, and you speak to filmmakers all over the world, and they tell you that actually it's what you do with computer graphic. It's how you can actually create a world, make it a human drama, make it an emotional film, but you can expand the bandwidth of that story.
Right.
You know, it's what James Cameron did with Titanic is no less than a Hindi film.
Right.
In terms of its ethos, emotional content, melodrama, drama, song, dance, conflict, everything was in the film. But look at what he did with it in 1998.
Right.
Ironically, the same year as my first film debuted, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. And there were two love stories with totally two different syntax appeals.
Right.
One where he took a real life event and put it on this monumental scale with the help of computer graphic and used detailing with the help of graphic that you can't even tell is actually CG work.
Right.
So it's what you do with it. You can
Sure.
still tell your narrative. And I feel India is a land of emotional content. We're a land that makes beautiful love stories, emotional stories. So we have to take the help of computer graphic, never change and become wannabe or Me Too's of what they're doing, you know.
Right.
Save, I think, one film that actually really can give, as they say, takkar to any of their best work. And that's true because of its emotional content is Bahubali.
Yes.
You know, and Bahubali is such a proud experience and Rajamouli's brilliance and vision. And he worked on that film for over 3 or 4 years before it saw its first version. Save that, I feel today Indian filmmakers must look at it holistically. Take up a theme where they can actually build on it emotionally with the help of CG. And not just go around like trying to create like, you know, epic scale war sequences or like monumental action set pieces just like there are in the franchise films of Hollywood. You don't need to do that. You can actually take a film, an emotional father-son film or a husband-wife film or a love story like Titanic was and give it that epic feeling with the help of computer graphic. It's what you do with it.
No, fair. So you're essentially saying, use it as a tool rather than be dependent and, make movies which are driven by CGI, but rather use it as
like everything doesn't have to be like,
enhance your content.
Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. Everything does not have to be that.
Right.
You can take a simple love story and give it that scale, or give it that visual excellence with the help of understanding. The understanding actually is very simple. There are teams led all over the world by some of the brightest minds. And so many of them, will be able to tell you that you should never compromise on emotion. Right. Just use that as a peripheral technique.
I understand. So, just to sort of take it from what you said, when we talk CGI, the impression that sort of comes to mind is exactly the kind of stuff you said around big war scenes or, scenes which are heavy on special effects. Is there something, you can sort of share with us with maybe some of the movies that you've done where you use CGI, you use special effects, but they are so subtle or they're so much, use more to sort of enhance, a natural content rather than, make it so heavy on CGI?
I mean, a lot of the films that I've produced have been low besides what we're making right now.
Right.
If you know, we partnered on some films that have actually had. But I mean, there are little things that you can actually do, Girish, that are like simple. Like we can actually have, let me put it into perspective for you, for people who understand film, that we can have actually just a front row of tables. and I can show like an auditorium.
Right.
Literally,
Right.
if I need to show scale, I don't need to
Right.
go beyond the front row. We have about 20 gentlemen. It can look like 3,000, and that's the easiest shot in the world.
Right.
So if you want to show scale, you don't need, you can cut costs, you can control budgets, if you actually leverage computer graphics easily.
Right.
Like it's the insecurity of a filmmaker that it stunts your growth. And I think most of us get so afraid of leveraging the facilities of computer graphics.
Right.
It's simple things, like you can, in my movies, we've done crowd multiplication.
Right.
Say a film of ours that released last year called Brothers. We had like just one section of people, 200, but we made it look like a stadium full of 10,000 people.
Right.
And in moving shots, sometimes this used to be possible with just static imagery,
Yeah.
but now you can actually move your camera and yet have that crowd multiplication happen efficiently.
Right.
There are things you can change faces, you can transform images, you can do anything, barring the cosmeticness of it, which is also a big part, I have to tell you, of what happens. We can make people look younger, thinner, prettier. I mean, all that is cosmetic, and that is, of course, just a subsection of what computer graphic can do. But apart from that, it's just creating that magic on celluloid and giving you that epic scale without an epic budget. And I think that efficiency is what we need to start integrating in our zone.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think that's probably the key takeaway from this piece of what we sort of discussed. The other point I just wanted to also chat about with you is, so while pretty much most of what is created is really 2D content in nature, there are fundamentally two other types of visualization. One which has been around for a while, and one which is sort of coming up. One. So start with is 3D. Right now, 3D post Avatar, there was a huge buzz around 3D and what it can do, and the fact that it could potentially wipe out 2D filmmaking. And there's a lot of discussion, but it obviously has never really panned out. And globally, it's sort of thought that 3D filmmaking has never really reached the kind of potential it could have. Where do you see things that went wrong, or was it always on the cards?
I think 3D is great if your film warrants it.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of the format. That's just personal and nothing else. I feel like I need to kind of see a film like I've been trained to see it as a child. I feel just with the aid of glasses and have characters come up close, I may not want them. I like to see things at a distance in cinema and then feel up close with content. But I think 3D is a humongous device, and it's great for certain kinds of films. The epic scale bonanza films, the franchises that are larger than life, the adaptations like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings.
Bahubali did 3D pretty well. Right?
All that Bahubali lends itself to the format again. Just doing it for the sake of doing it and adapting to that format for no reason. But it doesn't mean that you need to kind of do what we used to do with it in the year, like when Chhota Chetan came out. Or there was a film after that called Shiva Ka Insaf, on the heels of Chhota Chetan, where everyone was like kind of trying to come at you. That is gone. Right. That's no longer. Just now you feel the presence of the characters much like in your proximity of vision. For me, I think it needs to be that kind of film. 3D does not ever going to mean the death of 2D. 2D will exist as the paramount way to see a film.
Right.
And 3D will be that add-on, that bonus, like the IMAX experience, apart from 3D, which is the holistic look of a cinema, which is circumvent.
Right.
And I think that is really something that you need to kind of experience depending on the film. Very few films warrant these additional formats.
Understand. Well, fair enough. Then let's look at something else which is evolving, and again, which is become the talk, is really around virtual reality, augmented reality. As a filmmaker, how do you see that? What do you, where do you see this being most useful? Where do you see it lending most value? And where do you see this? Because obviously it's very early days for the format and very early days for the technology. Where do you see this, say, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line?
I mean, virtual reality has become a huge phenomenon. Right. And, it's kind of gained tremendous ground in the West. We're still understanding it, developing it, and there's so much understanding of it. Short films of 2 and 3 minutes on VR actually are doing phenomenally well. Equipments for like not more than 2,500 rupees are available online where you can actually see these short clips that are experiences. Is it going to be an additional, like a 3D experience? Yes, it might be. It will take its time here because we need the kind of spaces to exhibit that format. But yeah, what do I say? Eventually it's all going to go there. It's like film is becoming like the hand telephone and like digital is becoming the mobile. I mean, it's just the way it's going to be.
Right. So, I mean, staying on with this, so would you as a filmmaker be interested in making something, say, in virtual reality? And what's the kind of content you think which would...
Girish, I'm interested in being relevant. So whatever is contemporary and whatever exists as a format today, there's no way that I want to be taking a back step in where something is leaping forward, be it going the digital way. It was immediate at our end. We changed all our films. I'm not somebody who, while I want to protect the content as much as I can, but to take giant leaps in technology is being relevant. And being relevant is the essence of a filmmaker in today's times. So yes, if 3D is a format, it's like we're making a film which Ayan Mukherjee directs with Ranbir, and it's a mystical experience, and he's been prepping on it for a year and a half. Now that film could lend itself to 3D. Right. We could look at virtual reality with it as an additional add-on experience. Right. All that and more, because it's a film that is made in 3 parts. So again, it's a trilogy. And all that can happen to that film. But say I release a film called Ae Dil Hai Mushkil, which comes out in Diwali, it doesn't warrant itself to anything but the 2D experience you get. Right. So every cinema experience, it depends on the genre of the film that it belongs to.
Understand. Fair enough. The other point, just to then take the whole sort of process forward really, then comes to monetization and distribution, right? And one of the, key changes in technology which sort of significantly enhanced theatrical distribution was digitization of screens, right? Just your thoughts around that. While, I guess we are at the fag end of the entire process and we are pretty much largely digitalized.
We're largely digital,
right? Yeah. But how has that, again, impacted you as a production house over the last, say, 5 years or so?
It's speed and efficiency.
Right.
It's much easier. Steel dabbas don't have to go
right.
from one place to the other. I remember, I've come from a generation where I've seen my father take those steel cans, to temples to pray right before the release, right. which have our film stickers on it, reel number 1, reel number 2, like literally cans. I've seen that happen in front of me. I feel blessed that I've been through this journey of seeing these steel cans that go to temples to now literally chips going into like equipment to see a film. So it's a card, it's a code. We actually, you could call it that we've been reduced to a code now. We're just like everything else, we're a number. We're no longer a detail. Right?
So, can you give us some context? So, let's say, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, when it released, how many prints, how many screens were there, and say, Ae Dil Hai Mushkil, what are we talking about?
We're talking 20 times, 150 to 200 to now 2,500 right. to 3,000.
And that's straight multiplication on your collections and your revenues?
Not really. Do you know footfalls were more than?
Is it?
Yes,
okay.
It's a true. It's
right.
a hashtag true story.
Right.
Give you data. Agnipath, film released in 1990.
Right.
Box office status, flop.
Right.
Agnipath, released 2011, box office status, super hit.
Right.
Data, more people saw Agnipath in 1990
okay.
than they did in 2011.
That's interesting.
That is considered a flop. This is considered a super hit.
Right.
So just to tell you that multiplex pricings, all that has eaten into the footfalls.
Right.
We're reduced by 40 to 45% reduction of footfalls
right.
than what was 2 decades ago. So our prints, our number of screens have increased, but the people watching movies have reduced by 40%.
Wow.
That meant that the single screen audience, where it was more economical to view films, obviously, because we are a country that has diverse economic situations for people. And, the multiplex pricings do stop a humongous section of people from visiting cinema halls.
Right.
Like now to get an opening on a Friday is much more challenging because of just the fact that our footfalls are down by 40%.
Right.
And let me tell you that 40% is going to keep dropping because somewhere our core content is becoming more urban and we're losing heartland numbers.
Right.
So box office is taking a beating, which is why there's so much talk about the studio system shifting, etc. And it's going back to brass tacks in terms of solo, single, boutique production houses and producers who understand the essence of the box office and where it is.
Absolutely.
But that's, as I said, a separate topic of discussion.
No, I agree. I mean, this has a lot of other connotations around
it totally does.
But
digital is being empowered in other ways.
Right.
I mean, we have like the advent of short films, the advent of web series, the advent of digital content.
Right.
Online is becoming king. And I said it somewhere, and I feel very sad that eventually television might be like the scary mother-in-law. Digital will be the patriarch parent, and film will be the troubled child who will be desperately in need of therapy. So that's where we're heading.
Right. No, fair. Just in this context, there's this whole aspect around windowing, and this is particularly more relevant given the advent of digital, right? And there are conversations happening, particularly with Hollywood studios, to say, can we do a day and date release on digital or close enough? Right. How do you view that? And what do you see potentially as pluses and minuses of something like that happening?
Day and date would destroy the theatrical, possibilities. We now have, of course, partners like Amazon who have entered the fray.
Yeah.
And, of course, there is an internal deal about when we can go digital with the film.
True.
There's also the satellite transmission that is
Yes.
critical.
Right.
There is then the digital. There is also the theatrical you have to look at. So things have changed. The climate, as we call it, has changed drastically.
Right.
None of these were like impediments earlier. And
Right.
now you have to think that, okay, we'll go digital first and then we'll go television or vice versa. It depends. We have to kind of keep... but it is impacting. Definitely there's additional revenue because now you have digital money coming in as well, which is an additional form of your recovery. We earlier had the music, we had theatrical distribution, diaspora and India, and we had satellite, now we have digital. So it's an add-on, but there are other ramifications and repercussions to look at.
I agree. So moving on, right? So post theatrical release right now, and this is I guess where really social media comes in, and the impact of social media, the fact that reviews, views, responses are really real time. Again, as a filmmaker, what does this really mean for you? And how do you react to such responses with social media comments and reviews happening?
I mean, it's very scary because we're the only industry, I would say the only business where what we do gets judged globally on that morning. Right. I mean, immediately you have like content being filtered through all social media platforms, be it Twitter, Facebook, and other such platforms that are lesser perhaps, but exist. It's ridiculously scary for a filmmaker who nobody else. You launch a product anywhere else in the world, it takes a week, 2 weeks, a month, some months for it to really kind of get some kind of feedback. Here you release a film and millions of people are talking about your work on day one. You have people live tweeting now, so who's watching films anymore? People are live tweeting reviews. I've never heard of something more ridiculous. Because how can you be tweeting about a film while watching it and feel the experience of a cinema viewing? So it's scary, I mean, and then of course you have trolling on Twitter. You open your mouth and you have like 3 million people who have opinions who kind of go at you. You have to have nerves of steel to exist in this digital age, to exist in this age of social media. To be on Twitter and be a celebrity, let me tell you, is no fun at all. Because you have dark, deep, unhappy people venting their deepest, darkest insecurities and lumbering it on you, literally thrusting it on you, and all you have to do is kind of...
trolling, and there's no way to get back at them, really.
You don't know them.
Respond.
They're faceless, they're nameless, and you just are vulnerable. There is nothing else you can do.
Right. Scary. Then let me, talk about maybe a couple of more other, sort of aspects which I guess potentially has sort of, risks placing limitations around creativity. One of them is around big data and data analytics and the kind of, efforts that are being put in, around analytics to really figure out what's the kind of content a user really likes to watch. And particularly around, say, for example, something like a Netflix, which has got an abundance of data around what's the kind of content a user watches, which then determines the kind of movies and content they make. How do you see that?
I don't understand data. Of course, as I said, relevance is the order of the day. So I remain relevant by, of course, listening to research, listening to all the data that comes in. But I still don't know what my mother wants. So how do I know what the average Indian wants? It's really difficult to kind of analyze it. You keep getting TG. This is your TG. Right. Male skew, female skew, family skew, 18 to 34. Is your 18 to 24 is one TG. 35 to 44 is your second TG. Right. Below that, of course, there's something called QC. There's something called ESP. And these are all given to you. We have a leading research and analytical group called Ormax. That gives us FBO, as in first day box office predictions. Right. And we start hyperventilating about that number because we have it.
So how often have they been right?
They're quite right. I have to say in the last couple of years they've been bang on. Right. But somehow that fun of discovery of your early morning release in the movie or in the movie field, like when you have a morning of release and you're like, has my film received? Somehow you already are expecting a range.
Right.
So sometimes you're open to disappointment or then open to fear. One of the two keep happening in your zone. It's a bit scary. All that is a bit scary. So it's daunting. It's sometimes, but you get the data and you get something called reach. You have reach, interest, appeal, buzz.
Right.
These are the parameters.
Right.
So sometimes I try to ask, I said, what is the difference between appeal and interest?
Right.
And I've understood that appeal is like told data and interest is when you're not told and then you give whether you
Right.
want to see the film or not.
Right.
So there's a difference between appeal and interest. Where I come from, appeal and interest mean the same thing.
Right.
And reach and buzz, I said, what is the difference between that? So there is, and the guys who do it understand it and are probably all right because they've been bang on for a lot of years.
Right,
And
right.
90% success rate, which is great. But it's daunting for a filmmaker where we are sitting with all this data. All you've made is a film. You
Right.
made a film with your heart. You've made a film with your conviction. And then you have like corporate heads telling you all this. And they're making sense, which is so annoying. Because, you know, sometimes, like, they are breaking it down. And yes, sometimes you could be poetic and romantic and romanticize the situation and say, look, we don't need to listen. This is my conviction. But it's not my money.
Right.
How can I have conviction? If I had my own money, I wouldn't need to listen to anybody.
Right.
If I was just putting my own money and putting it on chance, of course I can do what I want to. But the moment somebody else's money is riding on you, then
Right.
you're accountable and you bloody well listen to reach, availability, accessibility, interest, appeal, whatever the hell they tell you, you have to listen to it and act accordingly. Then suddenly I'm told like, oh, your male skew needs to increase. So I'm like, what do I do? Put more men in my film? No, it doesn't work like that. You know, you probably have to kind of then make sure you amplify the female reach.
Right.
So that reaches a high enough number. So there are organic, there are holistic ways of looking at everything and you have to just do what you do.
Right. Fair enough. The last thing I also, in this sort of a similar context is, so with Fast and Furious there was this, situation where, post Paul Walker's death, the last few scenes they actually recreated his image through CGI, right? And, and he was therefore shown as being present in those scenes. People are saying, does this mean 5-10 years down the line when the technology evolves enough, will that be the death of actors?
I don't think so.
Right.
It's like saying digital came and film died.
Right.
No, the actors will never die. They are the crowning glory of our cinema, especially in India. They're mega movie stars. We love them. We adore them. We put them up on pedestals. We like them to keep them there. No computer graphic can take away the magic and magnitude of movie stardom.
Right.
I don't think that can ever go, and I don't think we want it to either. Yes, what happened with Paul Walker was unfortunate, and the usage again for emotional connection with the character and how they used it towards the end of the film, just because you wanted to say that final goodbye to an actor who was part of a franchise. Brilliant usage, emotional. I was moved in Fast and Furious for the first time in my entire life. I couldn't believe I had a tear in my eye.
Emotional is not what you would connect with that movie.
You
normally.
don't. And yet you had a tear in your eye. And that film went on to break every Fast and the Furious record. And
Right.
because there was emotion. And again, it takes me back to where we all began, Girish.
Right.
Is that eventually computer graphic with the use of, with the platform of emotion can really be truly leveraged on a larger level.
I understand. Fair enough. I think we're sort of running out of time. I don't know, do we have time for questions or? No, okay, I guess not. So great. Thank you so much, really for all your insights on this.
No, thank you, Brian.
I guess things as technology evolves will get both very interesting as also more challenging, as things progress, right?
Well, it is. Digital is the future. And
Right.
I think walking the digital path is, I think, the order of the day. And I bless film always. And I hope that digital will have its hand on film forever.
Great. Thank you so much, and thanks for your insights and your time.
Thanks, Girish.
Thank you.
Once again, a big thank you to Mr. Karan Johar and Mr. Girish Menon for their fireside chat. We didn't have a fire, but we had a lot going. Gentlemen, if you could stay on stage for a couple of seconds, I'd like to invite Archana Tiwari Naidu, Head Content TCL, to give away a memento as a token of our appreciation to Mr. Karan Johar. And also to Mr. Girish Menon. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Archana. It is my honor now to invite on the dais Mr. V.K. Gautam, Principal Secretary, Directorate of IT, Government of Maharashtra, to deliver the keynote address. Welcome, sir.
Honorable Minister of State, Information Technology, Government of India, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I must confess that having gone through the spectrum of IT landscape, both globally and in the country, as was so comprehensively presented by Honorable Minister, and having seen the impact of digital transformation percolating to celluloid cinema, there would be hardly few things which could be talked about the impact of digital transformation that we are facing. When I got this invitation, sir, I just got caught by the subject of the conference. Because when we say that this conference or summit is all about enterprise, digital transformation, I find three very complex words being woven together. And I started first trying to understand that what does the organizers mean by enterprise part of it. And when I started looking for the definition of enterprise in this context, my mining went up to mid-19th century. And as you know that as students, we all are hardcore socialists. Slowly we get transformed into capitalist mode of society. So as students, we all have read Marx, we all have read Communist Manifesto, The Poverty of Philosophy, and all that saying by Engels. And I went to discover the definition of family which Engels gave in mid-19th century. He said, family is the first feudal class. Because the first sense of private property comes when you acquire somebody whom you used to call those days wife, then the son, then the daughter, then the land, and then the assets. And that is how private property is generated. So family is the first feudal class. When I started taking this clue to define enterprise in this context, I found that the best way is to follow Engels and say that in this context, family is the first enterprise. Because whatever we learnt as students of geography in standard 6th or 7th or 8th, that this ecosystem that we inhabit or we live in on this planet comprises of 5 spheres, starting from troposphere and going up to exosphere. Today we realize that there is a 6th dimension to this ecosystem, which is going to make either this planet survive, grow, or perish. And I don't hesitate in calling this 6th dimension of the ecosystem the digitosphere, which is cutting across right from troposphere to exosphere. Whether you are trying to change the lives on the planet or you are trying to discover something out of the planet, your ecosystem is being completely cutting across through by this potent, very, very omnipresent line of digitosphere. So when I started looking, and we all are aware that today the relationships in the family, the way we relate to each other, the way we do our business, the way we run our government, the way we will do research, the way we will manufacture, everything is cut across by this kind of a digital complete bombarding of inputs. Honorable Minister went up to the stage of IoT, and that is why I first decided that we must also now say that government is also an enterprise. And unless we look at government as enterprise, we cannot be doing justice to this impact of digital sphere that we are facing. And this is where the challenges, if government is an enterprise, then what challenges we face? People sitting in front of me, I definitely presume that most of you are technocrats. And I believe that technocrats convert ideas into reality. I stand here as a development administrator, and having defined the state governance structure as an enterprise of perhaps many complex enterprises, I would like to share my ideas on the digital transformation vis-a-vis this enterprise called state government. You all are aware that India is going through a demographic transition phase which comes only once in the life of a nation. And we are saying that we would remain the youngest population with an average age of 29 till 2030, when most of the developed world would have average age of 39 to 45. So we have a large young population, and this young population is today looking for, which our Chief Minister, Mr. Fadnavis, recently, we were in San Francisco for the Oracle World Open just about 10 days back, and he said that I am here to find solution that how do I ensure security, prosperity and identity to the 64% population of this state which is under 30. And this is the challenge before the governance structure, that how do we meet the aspirations of this youth? Because if you have to meet this aspiration of this youth, you are also aware that your resources are limited. And as our State Minister just mentioned, that optimum use of resources to meet the aspirations of this young population is only possible through the intervention of technology. There is no way you can increase the area of land surface. There is no way you can increase the area of the volume of air that we inhale. It's only the use of technology which can bring us where the limited resources can make us not only feel secure, make us grow and create an identity not within this nation but globally. And once we look at these challenges of the governance, because you must realize that governments will have to survive. Governments in any modern civilization cannot have a recourse to any BIFR. Government can't be declared a sick industry. We have to keep governing the society, keep catering to the aspirations of the growing population. And therefore, as Honorable State Minister mentioned, there is a great vision of Digital India, which our Honorable Prime Minister has been very, very tirelessly pursuing. And Government of Maharashtra is in complete line with the Government of India's all 9 pillars of Digital India. So far as governance is concerned, and having talked about ourselves as enterprise, we are now realizing that if this optimization has to come, we have to go in for a complete enterprise architecture, technological solution for the state as a whole. We can't afford to work in silos. And the key mantra of the business architecture that Government of Maharashtra has adopted is one platform, all services. And I'm very proud to tell you here and invite you to be part of this campaign that our Aple Sarkar, which means your government, is our business architecture common platform for all services. This is one platform which is today providing information under Right to Information Act, which is tackling grievances redressal, and Maharashtra being one of the few states having adopted Right to Citizen Services Act in 2015, I feel happy in informing to you all that today on Aple Sarkar, we provide 206 government to citizen services online with a back-end workflow integration. And from 26 January 2016 to date, we have handled almost 80 lakh applications of citizens for different G2C services, with 95% of them having been delivered on time, within the response time prescribed in the Act. We have also adopted one of the features that Honorable State Minister mentioned of MyGov. Aple Sarkar also has the state instance of the MyGov. So here we already have started dealing or treating Government of Maharashtra as one single enterprise, and our business architecture of one platform, all services is placed. And the key mantra and the vision is, how do we reach the stage where we can say Government of Maharashtra will not ask for any such information from a citizen which it already has. That is going to be the disruption. We all are aware, and we have some of our seniors here, that from birth to death, an Indian citizen, I don't know how many, must be at least 500 times, declaring at different forums his name and his father's name and his date of birth, his address. So the real disruption in governance can come when we say we do not ask any more the information that we already have. And if we have to reach at that target, we must get into basic connection of people, places, and procedures. I personally believe that there is no rocket science in it. If we apply ourselves and bring in processes which can connect people with places and keep a common data architecture, we can arrive at this, what may look like an absolutely undoable or unachievable situation. And we are working at it, and the target is that come 1st January 2019, and Government of Maharashtra will never ask a citizen any information that it already has. Because you all are aware that if I require a caste certificate to get admission or to get a scholarship, This is prescribed by either Social Justice Department or Tribal Department, and it is required by either the Education Department or the Higher Technical Education Department. So if the demand is not mine for this certificate, why should I be holding it to my chest and running from this department, taking a document from this department and giving it to other department? I think it is high time that we give this pride to our aspiring youth, that you are no more required to get into this holding off or saving these documents from the fire and the floods and everything. And as Honorable State Minister was just mentioning, Maharashtra is one state, there would be many others also, which has already integrated its Aple Sarkar platform with Digital Locker. And we have divided our departments between issuers and requesters. So if any department issues a document, it puts it in the Digital Locker as issuer. If any department wants it, it requests it as an issuer. This is the kind of change, because this digital transformation has to actually transform the governance paradigms. The second most important thing is equity and inclusiveness. And that is where we are embarked upon creating a digital infrastructure in line with the BharatNet program of Government of India. And I am happy to inform you that on 2nd of October, we will be having Nagpur district where all 776 Gram Panchayats will be connected on Wi-Fi. We started with 5 digital villages in Nagpur district on 1st May. 15th of August we took it to 500. Today, 2 lakh rural families are using Wi-Fi in these 500 villages. And I was pleasantly surprised, and including Honorable Chief Minister getting surprised when I informed him, sir, between 15th August and 15th September, should I tell you the average download per month per user in these villages? It is 15 GB. This is, sitting in Mumbai, I don't download even 2 GBs per month. So I know that there could be excitement. There could be a lot of YouTubes and movies getting downloaded. We know all that. But we wanted this excitement about this new wave to reach these villages. Today on Twitter, Honorable CM is receiving requests, sir, if the Wi-Fi has come, why is the e-library away from us? When we were talking to an ashram shala, which is a tribal residential school, 90 kilometers from Nagpur, the girls from those schools told that, sir, the nearest cyber cafe was 40 kilometers away. We have a target that we will bring Wi-Fi, high bandwidth connectivity, and create hotspots in at least 3 places in every Gram Panchayat. The Gram Panchayat office for our G2G and G2C exercise, the local school, and the local health center. We already have about 300 schools where the Wi-Fi has gone with digital classes. We already have 20 health centers which in the rural areas get connected to the center of excellence called JJ Medical College Telemedicine Center, and cases like small babies with heart holes are getting identified, being brought to the tertiary care. So basically, creating these digital highways to bring the paradigm change in the way resources can be brought for education and the health, and the next is agriculture. And therefore, we are encouraging the industry to bring in the inputs on IoT. We have a plan to create a smart grid of highways where every junction on the both sides will have, like a reservoir, the catchment area of rural areas, which will cover agriculture, animal husbandry, education, health, to bring this change in the rural life in Maharashtra, in addition to opening up the floodgate of digital rural economy. There is a large potential of the rural supply chain management, the rural BPOs, which can get onto this wagon. So we are creating avenues for you all to come in and participate, to change the quality of education, the quality of health, the quality of agriculture practices, the quality of giving that push to the rural economy. Because we are aware that while Maharashtra's GDP has gone away from agriculture dependence, 50% of the population still depend on agriculture. And if the vagaries of droughts have to be kept away from them, they have to be brought into the different mainstreams of economy, the secondary sector and the tertiary sector, without pushing them towards cities and become part of the slum and create another challenge for the urban governance. So this is the way we are looking at it. We already have our plan for connecting all 29,000 Gram Panchayats by December 2018 in line with Government of India program. We have this Smart Cities program. Out of 10 that we selected, 7 are now in the Government of India list. We already have started doing Nagpur, where for the first time we moved away from a smart city being dubbed as safe city, and we are creating a 6-kilometer as a pilot smart strip, which will bring smart lighting, smart parking, smart transport management, smart solid waste management, and also environment sensors to advise citizens on the environment conditions. So this is the way Maharashtra is moving in line with Government of India's initiative, and we are trying to transform the landscape. Last but not the least, the moment we go for the higher levels of technology, the impact of the accidents also increase. When we moved on bullock carts, we had only the fear of breaking our hand or leg if we fell. But if you are flying in the aircraft, your whole life is at stake. The digital transformation, as Honorable Minister was mentioning very clearly, is now throwing challenges of cyber security. While we have one certain at the Government of India level, Government of Maharashtra is in its advanced stage of setting up a Maharashtra state certain, and to protect this certain, a SOC. We already have our design and plan ready, and in couple of months we will be pushing the first level of security operation center in place. Whatever we are doing with smart cities and digital villages, we are aware that very soon our population is going to find itself amidst billions of sensors around. So with every smart city project or smart village project is getting linked with the cyber security ecosystem. Whether it is an introduction of an ACI, SIEM, or whether it is threat perception or intrusion protection systems. We are going through this, but we know, as global conventions have accepted, that only way you can fight these threats is by creating awareness and by creating enough professionals in the cyber security field. So Maharashtra government has taken a huge program, and we on 15th August got in our network 50,000 schools which have been given the first basic primer on cyber security. And we are holding workshops. Government of Maharashtra has also announced from coming year awards for cyber security for school-going children, college-going children, the media which reports about cyber security, the industry which takes steps towards cyber security, so that this culture has to now come in. As we developed millions of .NET and Java programmers, the time has come that we need to have at least 50,000 cyber security volunteers in the state in next 2 years. And once this culture as a hygiene standard spreads, I think we will achieve a great milestone in terms of securing ourselves. I am very, very thankful to Economic Times and HP. HP, incidentally, is one of our strategic partners. We have signed an MOU with them for conceptualizing 3 smart cities in the state. And we recently in Palo Alto visited their head office, had a very good interaction with their CEO. And we are open to call upon all the industry leaders to be part in this digital transformation drive of Government of Maharashtra and be part of bringing the cost of technology down. This is high time that we start talking about open source, open platforms, so that we don't only deploy technology, we deploy it at optimum cost, at a sustainable cost. With these words, I once again thank Economic Times for having given me an opportunity to be among with you and share some of my ideas. It is only with the sharing of ideas and our roadmap that we can grow together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sharing all your ideas. I'm sure they'll be pondered upon and acted upon by the various stakeholders. I'd like to call on stage Mr. Aman Kanjlia, Senior Director, Conferences, Times Conferences Limited, to present Mr. V.K. Gautam a memento as a token of our appreciation. Thank you once again, Mr. Gautam. Thank you, Aman, for doing the honors. It is my pleasure to now invite on the dais Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan, Managing Director and CEO, Bombay Stock Exchange, to present his keynote address. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan. Just a reminder, the hashtag digital transformation is trending on Twitter, and you are welcome to join the conversation. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of State for Information Technology, Government of India, Shri P.P. Chaudhary, Principal Secretary, Director of Information Technology, Government of Maharashtra, Shri V.K. Gautam, one of the founding fathers of India's IT revolution, Shri Lalit Kanodia ji, Ms. Archana Naidu, Content Head, Times Conferences, Shri Rajiv Srivastav, MD, HP India. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure and honor to be in front of you. I think whatever had to be spoken on the digital revolution probably has been spoken from the government's perspective and everything else. So I will cover a few other points to give you a perspective of what is coming. For me, the technology is the only change that happens in the world. The society surrounds it. Society evolves around it. And technology comes in waves. Earlier, technology used to come in longer waves. It used to take long time. Slowly, waves have become shorter and shorter. And now, practically, you get those waves every day. For example, a steam engine took, say, 250 years to come and get popular in the world. Electricity took more than 100 years. We are still electrifying our villages. A television took 60 years. A mobile phone took 30 years. Google took 10 years. Facebook took 5 years. So each time a new technology comes, it's coming in faster and faster waves. And why I'm telling you this is some context to what I'm going to speak later on. Over the last 30 years, one single technology, what we call digital technology, has changed the world transformationally, fundamentally. I mean, 30 years back, would you have imagined that without mobile phone, which currently many of you are looking at, would not have been possible at that time? Today, it's there in your hand, you are watching it, doing tweeting and so on and so forth. And so, IT has changed life thoroughly, fundamentally, transformationally. But what it has done for India is that it has changed India's perception about itself. And it has changed world's perception about India. I mean, 30 years back, when I used to go to other countries like US, most of the newspapers would not carry information about India. And once in a while, probably once in a month, a Washington Post would carry information about cows roaming on Indian road. And that was basically something to laugh at for them. Today, although they carry the photographs of Indian cows roaming on the road, but they also carry stories about India taking away jobs. American presidential debate is also something to do with India taking away jobs. And that is what has changed the world's perception about India. And India's perception about itself, that we used to feel a little inferior when we met somebody from abroad. Today, most of you feel, sitting here, since you come from IT, you feel very comfortable dealing with them. And you know that generally speaking, you are smarter than all of them put together, right? So this is basically one single technology that has changed world's perception and your own perception about yourself. Now, how does it connect to the organizations? I mean, I used to work as an IT head for a very large organization in India. And IT for me, when I worked for that organization, it was like a single binding glue. Today, the only person who knows everything about, or at least potentially has the capability to know everything about the entire organization, is the IT head. Otherwise, everyone is trying to get the information out of IT. A sales, a group will try to do something with IT. A marketing team is doing something with IT. Production is doing something with IT. Managing director is doing something with IT. Accounts is doing something with IT. So IT is the only glue that binds the organization. That will change, again, the organizations themselves fundamentally. Today, the way we are used to looking at the companies, the corporates, most of us work for corporates, some of us are consultants, but most of us are corporates, and corporates are going to change completely over the next 20, 30 years. The hard corporates, as I call it, they are going to change to soft corporates. The teams are going to work in a very, very disorganized fashion, at least the way we currently look at. They will get together in different areas, different geographies, work together, and when the project is over, the work is over, they will stop working together. And then the new group will be formed where you will be working. And that is going to be another challenge, another change to the organization that is going to happen. It started with information in organization that we wanted MIS, so we kept on doing EDPs, data entry, and then it came to the accounts, and then it came to transaction processing with ERPs and so on and so forth, and then in logistics, in execution of stuff, and then it has come into production. And slowly, It's going to change production also fundamentally in many, many ways. Now, there are many businesses which are basically IT only. For example, stock market is one business where we produce nothing except the network. We have only computers connected with each other on a network, which is very wide network, millions of computers and mobiles connected. But effectively, we produce nothing. Even our service is delivered digitally. The shares are also delivered digitally. Money is delivered digitally. And everything is real time. So yesterday, I was watching one of the more interesting statistics about social media and internet and digital economy, that 7,000 tweets every second are done in the world. And I was kind of amused that at 7,000 tweets a second, Twitter is considered a very large organization. BSE has a capability to handle 500,000 orders in a second, all on open source, but with a response time of 6 microseconds. In 1 second, there are a million microseconds. And we give you a response time at 6 microseconds, that is 160,000th of a second. And we actually, on many days, we get 60, 70, 80,000 orders in a second easily. And all that information has to be given to all those millions of people watching information of BSE. And so, effectively, many things are changing. Things which are considered only ephemeral, the social media and so on and so forth, are also businesses. They are practically the largest business in terms of market capitalization over the last 10 years. So the companies will change, the society will change, the governments will change, as Mr. Gautam said, and nations will change. They will change radically, transformationally, fundamentally using the newer technologies that are coming. And I have two hypotheses. That the wealth that will be created over the next 30 years using 20 new technologies or 30 new technologies that are being worked upon will be more than that has been created in the last 10,000 years put together. And second hypothesis I have is that 70% of the jobs in the next 20 years will be such that we have not even thought about it today. Many of the jobs which we know today will go away. And many of the jobs which we don't even think about today will come up. And there is a precedence in our own lifetime. Would you have thought, most of you are 40 plus, when you were studying, would you have thought about the fact that when you drive in to buy some McDonald's in US, on one side you are giving order, and the other side you try to take your packet back. Whoever you are interacting with is actually sitting in Bangalore in Wipro. Nobody would have thought that this was possible. But today, digital technology is allowing an Indian to migrate every day between 9 and 5 to America, or to Europe, or to Japan. And then 5 o'clock come back to Bangalore, or Varanasi, or wherever he is. And that is basically the way the life is going to change. And the arbitrage of cost, that is, a person is actually having a GDP per capita of $55,000 in US per annum. In India, it is close to $2,000. Indians are equally smart. Most of the work will start coming here. And that is what is basically making people worried. So 20 technologies, I'll just tell you a little bit about, and then I'll stop. I know there is sort of a lot to do and dinner is waiting. So 3D printing is going to change life completely, thoroughly, fundamentally, especially people who are in manufacturing. Even if you are not in manufacturing, it's going to change life. You'll be able to manufacture many things at home. Whether you want to manufacture chairs or a car or even the smallest things at home, pen, pencil, you'll be able to do it using 3D printing. But in manufacturing, if you have heard of MRO, maintenance, repair, literally I used to have 3 to 4 million SKUs for various types of screws and other things. And when the machine actually went bad, I didn't know where it was lying, in which plant and so on and so forth. Now, you will be able to actually manufacture that screw out of thin air and put it in to the machine to actually make it work. So a lot of MRO problems will get solved, but a lot of production problems will get solved. Instead of mass production, now you will actually get a design of a car at home, and you will be able to get it done to your choice, to your color, and to whatever way you want. And that is going to be very different from what we are currently used to doing, that mass production. Cloud computing, of course, we have all been witness to. Drones, today we have heard that the entire activity was recorded at the border using drones. And there are a lot of comments on that. If drones can go, might as well humans can also go. So the border seems to be very porous on both sides. Internet of Things has been discussed. But if you think that there are 7 billion humans and probably they'll become 10 billion over the next 50 years, the number of equipments that is going to be connected to the internet and through that to each other is going to be probably 10 times larger or 1,000 times larger going forward. And all of that will be connected. In fact, yesterday there was one more news that a Tesla car, you've heard of Tesla, right? A Tesla car was taken over 12 miles away by Chinese hackers. So car was running, hackers could actually log into the car and actually make it run the way they wanted, as if they were playing video games. In drones also, most of the drone operators of US are sitting in California and doing work from 9 to 5 or 5 to 9, whatever their shift is, in Afghanistan or Iran or Iraq or so on and so forth. It is becoming that much more interesting, but you don't have to even physically move. Robotics is going to change life fundamentally again. But more importantly, I was worrying, or I was thinking about it today because it's a topical thing, that a year back there was a conference on robots in wars. And robots in wars, it was being discussed by that instead of sending people like what we did today, might as well you could have sent robots. And then they would have also sent robots. And imagine a third party actually hacks into both sides, robots of both sides, and makes them do whatever they want, right? So the scenario, what I'm describing, is not fantastic. It is going to happen. It's going to happen very soon, or probably it has happened and we don't know. But life is going to change very, very rapidly. Hexoskeleton, have you heard of hexoskeleton? It will allow you to lift probably 500 kilos of weight and run with it, because you will be able to wear certain equipments which will make you run or do things which you have not been able to do as humans before. Exoskeleton is going to change life. Big data is going to change life because it can predict things and so on and so forth. Artificial intelligence is something which is rapidly changing life. And people are worried that at some stage, artificial intelligence imbued robots will actually become more intelligent than humans, and they'll keep on reproducing themselves and they will annihilate all the humans. And there will be a new race of robots which are actually increasing in intelligence every moment. And so it will become super intelligence. I was just reading a book called Super Intelligence a couple of days back. And of course, e-commerce we are aware. Mobile and social media we are aware. Virtual reality, I think Karan Johar mentioned about it. But my prediction is that, I have experienced virtual reality many times. And my prediction is that we will be spending more time on virtual reality in next 10 years than in real reality. We are currently spending more time on our mobile than with our families. And future, the virtual reality is so beautiful that why stay in real reality, right? And it is going to happen whether current genre of artists and media professionals, they like it or not. We are going to find it very, very interesting. Earlier people wanted to meet people in each sort of physical capacity. Then it became phones and now SMS and so on and so forth. Virtual reality is going to take over life, again completely thoroughly. And gaming is going to be another perspective, that all the life will become about games. It will be more interesting with virtual realities and so on and so forth, that you will be largely doing work, but you are thinking you are playing actually, you are gaming. Supply chain will change. Learning and education will change. Today also, one good professor or one good teacher, like Mr. Gautam said, once you have Wi-Fi in villages, why do you need a teacher to go there who is actually mediocre and usually doesn't want to go? You just give a tablet to a student and he or she can actually read up or experience the teacher in virtual reality or in 3D or even on 2D. And Khan Academy and all are actually giving all these things free of cost. So effectively, the learning is going to be different from imparting the education. You can learn at your own pace, at your own time, multiple times. It's going to change life fundamentally. A couple of years back, I met a vice chancellor of a UK university, and he said, you send your son to my university when he grows up, because my son was with me. And I said, by the time my son grows up, whether your university will remain or not. And relevance of university system itself will change. Telemedicine was talked about. Again, life will change fundamentally there. Again, robots with telemedicine can actually do operations on you without having humans around and do better than humans. Wearable computers, like I am wearing one watch here, but wearable computers are going to change life completely, thoroughly, fundamentally. I can have a glass which can actually figure out who is sitting here, and I can get everyone's name based on the databases and what you like, what you don't like, and so on and so forth. And so wearable computers are going to change life fundamentally, but more importantly, inside body computers are going to change life even more fundamentally. Your body will be having many computers inside. They will be moving around. Some of them will be static. They'll be take temperatures, pressures, and so on and so forth, sugar and other stuff. And then if required, they'll also put in some medicine. It is said that in next 30 to 40 years, people will start regularly living for 150 years. It creates newer questions that if people are going to stay 150 years, what will happen to youngsters? Nobody is going to actually give up their chair, right? Father will continue, then children, then son, and then grandson, great-grandson. It's going to be very difficult. And so there are many, many moral issues which come up using that. Driverless cars, they have been hyped very much by everyone, but they are going to become pretty much a part of life, and driverless probably planes, and that's happening as we talk, because most of the lending and stuff happens on autopilot now. Financial technology is changing very rapidly. New currencies, cryptocurrencies are coming. I don't know whether they will remain or not, because the current concept of currency is about the government's fiat. Government is saying this is currency, that's why we say it's currency. And those cryptocurrencies are not, but somewhere in the line, life again will start coming back to older situation where people used to issue their own currencies. Space technology. Yesterday, I don't know whether any one of you read up or listened to Elon Musk's press conference. He wants to take hundreds of people at probably $200,000 or $1 million a piece to Mars to stay. And I think it was said today early in the event that we can't create newer land, but we are practically, if we are going to stay on Mars, it's a breathtaking vision. And although all the missions have gone to Mars, including India's mission, taking humans is a different caliber of problems, but staying there is going to be another issue. And space technology is going to be changing life thoroughly, completely, fundamentally going forward. Genetically modified agriculture will increase the production of agriculture the way we know it. And India has now taken leaps in that by creating their own genetically modified cotton and so on and so forth. So kudos to our scientists. But it's going to become very regular on many things. And genetically modified animals and humans is going to be another framework where many of the things, today people are doing it, taking genes of 2, 3 people and putting into the babies, and new babies are getting born as we talk. And so it's going to change life completely. BSE, as I said, can do many, many things, but today, over the last 5 years, almost more than 90% of orders, close to 95% orders, come where humans are not involved. The thinking about the placing of orders on BSE is also done by computers. And orders are placed, they are taken back. 5 years back, we used to have 1 crore orders a day. Today, on a good day, we would get 60 crore orders in a day of 6 hours. And large part of it, 95%, is coming from computers. So it's changing very rapidly. Of course, we use it for risk management. We use it for many, many things. but finance is going to change fundamentally. Stock markets are real-time things, like Karan Johar mentioned, that whenever they come out with movies, people get to talk about it on that morning. Whatever happens on BSE is talked about in that microsecond. That is the difference. And that's where we have 7 television channels watching whatever we do, and more importantly, whatever we don't do, and report to you guys on real time. And there are millions of tweets happening for BSE Sensex every day. So effectively, life is going to change, and India has a great opportunity because of its young people to learn this newer technology and create that wealth which is going to be created, which is going to be more than what has been created in the last 10,000 years. Next 30 years, young people are going to learn newer things and create those wealth. And India has young people who are technologically oriented, and that's why I believe India's future is great. And so thank you very much for calling me here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chauhan. And I'd like to request Ms. Archana Tiwari Naidu to present Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan with a memento as a token of our appreciation. Thank you, sir. A couple of announcements before we move on to our next speaker. The hashtag digital transformation is trending third in India on Twitter right now. So that's great. Also, at the rear end of the ballroom, where I'm pointing out, you will find a couple of booths, white in color. You are requested, whenever you get up, to go and swipe your RFID cards that have been given to you at the time of registration against those booths. And you stand a chance of winning. There are 5 lucky winners that will be determined at the end of the summit. So you could be one of those 5. So whenever you get the time, kindly go and swipe your cards at the 2 booths that are there at the HP counter. It is my pleasure now to invite on the dais Mr. Rajiv Srivastava, Managing Director, HP India, to deliver his address titled Transforming and Creating Customer-Centric Digital Strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly put your hands together for Mr. Rajiv Srivastava.
All right. Good evening. Look, I know this evening has been very fascinating so far. It's covered so many different topics, and the Honorable Minister was very gracious in delivering his opening lecture and really opening up a huge amount of possibilities, if I may say, for the companies and for just the landscape in general. But one thing you can take away from the evening today is there seems like a ton of opportunities right now in India. It's just probably the best time to be in India when the business environment seems like so supportive, there is all-round growth, and growth where India continues to be the top of the emerging market or top of the market, large economies from a growth perspective, almost literally the only beacon of light in the world right now, so if I can say that. And that's a great position to be in, and just so many positives for India right now. And yesterday's news was very encouraging that we moved up 16 notches on the index of competitiveness, which is a great story, because the moment you become competitive, it's a great story. Yeah. The moment you become competitive, you can do so much more with the rest of the world. But look, you can almost sense that there is so much of change that is taking place right now across the world. And change will happen, whether any of us decides to pursue the change or not. It is imperative, it is bound to happen. The rate of success or failure, whichever way you look at it, of organizations today is accelerated. It is faster than ever before. There are companies who've done extremely well in a very short time. Tesla was mentioned just a little while ago. Google, our own companies like Flipkart and Paytm, Facebook, Twitter, all those companies have done exceedingly well. But some have not done well, and the rate of fall also has been very accelerated. Companies like Nokia, for instance, or Facebook, or companies like Kodak, who didn't embrace. Now, you can almost draw a parallel between what constitutes success here. And you will find that modern enterprises today will succeed. They will succeed when they adapt to what's going on in industry, they adapt to industry changes, they adapt to marketplace changes, and then integrate new technology into almost their culture and in the way of doing business, in business practices and business processes. And sometimes the word of digital transformation can get very confusing, can get very loud, very big, but at a very base level, it's just about bringing together two things: the power of technology that is changing at a very rapid pace, and then integrating it together with a culture that embraces change. And I thought Karan Johar put it extremely well when he said, look, we've got to move on the digital journey, but we can't leave our emotions. And that's the cultural, emotional ethos connect that we've got as a nation. We are a nation which has got tons of people connectivity, and huge amount of emotions. We can't leave that no matter what happens. So if you embrace the power of technology with the cultural ethos that is changing right now, that really enables you to be on the head of the curve. So I'm going to talk to you about 2 or 3 very simple things today. One, I'm going to talk to you about how India is transforming, and there are some real macroeconomic parameters which I've gathered from my meetings with the finance minister and the minister of IT and a whole bunch of other ministries in Delhi. We also want to talk to you a little about how digital is going to impact each one of us. When I talk about a customer-centric organization, how is digital going to impact each one of us as individuals and as companies, as organizations? And then what roadmap we as organizations can have for taking that in the future. So just these 3 pretty simple things. Let me share this with you. India is really transforming at a very fast pace. And in a very little short time of the next 6 to 7 years, we should become the 3rd largest economy in the world. We should be almost about 6% of global trade. We are 3 right now. And we should be 70% of our population would be middle class. Now that's an opportunity, because middle class has got the buying power, it has got the power of transformation, it has got the power of taking India into the next generation. So clearly we are an aspirational nation, young nation, desire to grow, but these economic parameters seem like very strong, very imperative for us here. And look at your organizations themselves. I am sure all of your organizations today must be wanting to go global. And that global going means increased competitiveness. It just means that if you see the chart on the left-hand side, you would find it's a lot of consumer-related metrics, which means consumerism is on the rise in the country. It also means that the complexity of daily life is going up. And all of it, when you take a look at this, you'll find that all of it is forcing people to adopt a digital life. This is, there are younger millennial workforce. There is a much more requirement of creating a trendy, novel, modern, vibrant workplace, and flexibility to this young millennial workforce to work my place, my time. No longer the concept of anywhere, anytime. It is about giving the flexibility to the younger generation to work my place, my time. And this really is the concept of one life that is evolving now, where you'll find that the division, the divide between a professional life and a personal life has almost got blurred. It doesn't exist anymore. And that's the one life thing that we're talking about. And it has an implication on companies like ours. It has an implication on every single company represented over here, because when you design your products, when you design your processes, make sure you are mindful of what's changing and what's going on at the back end. Now, when I do a poll of CIOs across the country and across the world, you'd find that there are a whole ton of other imperatives that CIOs are concerned about, but digital business really finds a place which is right up there. It is bound to impact every single aspect of business. So while it's in no order of priority right now, but digital business really finds a place in the minds of, as a top CIO point of view, or a top focus, or a top priority. And like I said earlier, digital transformation is about power of technology and creating a culture which is enabling change. And when you measure 2, you get the maximum out of it. So from an impact perspective, like I said, transforming India and then how the digital transformation is going to impact, you'd find that it will impact the way you acquire new customers. And I'll make it real for you through live examples, and we're going through some of that ourselves. On customer acquisition, on employee engagement, on how we do user experience, operational excellence, innovation. And you would find that very often the studies, a lot of studies have established a very close connection between business excellence, business outcomes, business performance, and the way user experience is getting delivered today. And if you were to put your hand up and if you were to ask a question, how many of you want more customers to be acquired? And I'm sure every single hand in the crowd will go up. Yeah. Customer acquisition is such a strategic deal. We are all strategizing to acquire more customers every moment, and it's a big deal. But look at the customers. They've become more educated. They are far more demanding, very unforgiving. Loyalties are running very thin right now. And the only way you can reach out to them and reach out to them in a consistent way is by creating a unique personalized experience. Now, all these customers are interacting with businesses through a variety of channels. And I'll give you an example for HP. You know, when somebody wants to buy, any of your colleagues want to buy HP and we sell to consumers as well, often the first point of connect for us, somebody will go to our website and say, check out a product there. It doesn't end there though. They check out the product, then they go to see at a physical HP World store, which is HP franchise store. And then they walk into a multi-brand store, which is all the competitive products sitting there, and check that out as a physical store. They would come back and say, let me go and check out Flipkart or Amazon or Snapdeal or some other e-tailing site, and what they have got to offer from a product pricing technology perspective. Which means every single moment, you've got to make sure your experience of this individual consumer at every touch point he has gone to is the most differentiated, is the most elevated. And if you can keep them engaged in this entire customer cycle journey, you got a good customer and a sale and a good outcome at the end of it. If you don't, you very often lose the sale. And so it's important to make sure that that part of the whole journey is extremely well taken care of. And employee engagement I mentioned earlier. Let me just talk about a bit about innovation because proactive innovation is the only way today in which you can really stay competitive in an evolving market. Yeah. And proactive innovation is about not fearing failure. It is about, because we all know, we create products, some products work, some don't, some business models work, some don't. But it's about testing, analyzing, assessing, doing everything in a very fast manner, almost a fail fast to succeed faster mantra, which is different from succeeding and all the time thinking great about success mantras, but fail fast to succeed fast, because the faster you can put a product which can be successful in the market, the more opportunities that you create for yourself. So I think those are elements, and you can disrupt disrupt markets from that perspective. So those are the elements that are really working strong, and we're working very hard as 4 elements on digital impact. I'm going to talk to you about what can be done, given the imperative, given the fact that that's the way the landscape is, and those are real landscape of customer changing and demanding and operational excellence being brought to bear, but just change being so imperative. What can we do about it? I'm going to talk to you about 4 solutions which can really make a very big difference to each one of us over here, every single company over here. And the first one I'm going to talk to you is about mobile digital technology. And we know for sure that you can do a lot on your mobile devices today. But mobile devices with a very specific application to a vertical like a hospital, healthcare, vertical like an education. Chauhanji mentioned about education being delivered on a tablet in a remote location. And very great example. Look, today, India, I don't think, has the time and energy and effort to create a hospital, brick and mortar hospital, or a brick and mortar school across all the millions of villages that we've got across the country. Neither the money nor the time. So you will have to make sure there is a digital way of imparting quality healthcare in a cost-effective manner to the remotest villages. And we are doing that, sir, through creation of those healthcare in a box solutions and taking them to the remote locations. And similar with education. But those are just examples. But you can take healthcare, vertical after vertical, in financial services, in insurance, in domains of manufacturing, retail, service delivery outlets, Salesforce automation. You can do so much more, because what you can do is you can connect with customers. And that really is the key point over here. The workforce can be anywhere because they are mobile and they got the ability to access your data and connect with them. The customers can be anywhere. You can connect with customers through a workforce that is extremely talented and mobile, but that enables you to make some real-time customer-centric decisions here on the basis of all of this that is being given to you. So there's higher efficiency, there is higher productivity, and when you have workforce across, you can get much more talent than rather than fixing them and basing them at one place. So advantages are many, and these are exciting new developments that are taking place in a very remote operational centric way. Let me talk to you a bit about transforming experiences. And this is a big one. And if I can do a show of hands, how many of you have heard of Pokemon Go as an application here? Pretty much everyone here. And I got so caught up into it, I played that game here. So here it's pretty much the highest level of virtual augmented reality that you can think of. And you are tracking Pokemons on your cell phone as an application. And once I was doing that and I could find that my Pokemon has reached to a next, beyond the boundary of my complex I live in, and I couldn't go any further. I had to lose that Pokemon. I felt very miserable about it. But that really is, it's a rage. And gamification is going to become the next big deal. If it's not on the agenda today, it will surely become on the agenda of people, companies very soon, because you can gamify almost every aspect of a business. You can gamify sales and marketing and finance and logistics and supply chain and create scenarios for your business to be extremely successful. What I'm going to talk to you about is, I'm going to talk to you about an immersive experience that is leading to creativity and innovation like never before. It is almost like a shift between a physical world, which is the world in which we live, and the digital world, which is the world of machines. And let me just try and make it real to you through a small video over here. Can you roll the video, please?
Surfing has a really deep tradition of shaping your own surfboard. And so I saw that need and created a place where anybody could come. Before Sprout, there wasn't really a clear way for people to come in and get their design in and out efficiently. It can be overwhelming. And with Sprout, it really allows the surfer to narrow down their design choices, whether it's a fabric texture that they want to see on the board or it's a 3D object. What are you thinking for your board?
Well, I grabbed this burlap. I was thinking maybe we could use that in some way. What do you think?
Perfect. This camera button up here is going to get it ready. Hit the blue icon.
Can we scan these directly right in?
Yes, just go ahead and arrange them on the screen there. Alright, let's get that cleared. So now we got a bunch of elements we can play with.
Yeah, let's bring the burlap in as a base.
So you're just going to swipe it right on in. So we'll go ahead and size it down so you can work with it. And the first thing we'll do is crop it. How's that look?
Yeah, looks great. I was liking that green we were looking at earlier, maybe?
Okay. Let's move this one down. Move your green over. So there it is.
Cool, I like that. Can I cut a shape out?
You can really create whatever shape you wanted for your inlet. Alright, that looks real good. Let's go ahead and save this and then we'll do the leaf concept that you had, alright?
Cool.
Save as project. Cool, man. So here you're on the second concept. Just swipe down the leaves that you want to incorporate.
How about something like this and send the burlap behind it?
Yep. So just same thing, move the burlap over and then push send it back. Perfect.
Awesome.
And you can resize the burlap if you want the full board in there.
I have one more idea that I was thinking about. You think we could try that?
Yeah.
Swipe it down.
Swipe it down. Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
You can crop that and then maybe shrink it down there and hit the blue check mark when you're ready.
Okay.
Perfect. Alright, so here's our 3 choices.
I really love this one.
Okay. Let's get to it. Sprout has really allowed us to grow our business because now we're able to offer so much more on the design and creative aspects. People kind of go crazy with ideas when you give them that opportunity to really start with a blank slate and just build whatever they want. It really engages the customer. They feel like they're taking more of a part in the design and the finished product at the end of the day.
No, you can see the power of this. You can take an object, a physical object, convert it into digital. If you don't like the design of this one, the digital one allows you to manipulate the design and change it to your expectations and requirement, and then use that digital imagery to produce it somewhere. And you can almost satisfy the evolving needs of every single consumer or a customer. And how cool is that for customer experience? Because if you say what we said in digital transformation is about creating the best consumer and the customer experience, and this really allows you to be at the highest level. Let me move on to the third pillar of digital. And so this is almost like imagination towards a life continuum in that sense here. Let me talk to you a bit about a lot of people have mentioned, Mr. Chauhan mentioned earlier, and Ms. Archana also mentioned earlier about the 3D manufacturing. Government has a very strong and a very huge manufacturing process, very strong drive towards the Make in India. We're extremely committed to it. But I'm going to talk to you about a very democratized, very distributed manufacturing, which will, in my opinion, is bound to disrupt the 12 trillion manufacturing industry in the world. It is not about the printer market size. Printer market size may be 5 billion or 6 billion or half of 10 billion. That's the range of printer market size in that 3D printing capacity. But the manufacturing industry per se, and a lot of you come from manufacturing companies, I know that manufacturing industry is more than 12 trillion across the world. And this product has got a capacity of disrupting the 12 trillion manufacturing industry. And I'm going to show you a very, very simple video so that just to nail the concept so that you can get it as what you're going to talk about. And you can you show the video, please? Just one, a very small 1-minute video.
HP has been on a mission to disrupt the process of innovation and advance the state of the art of 3D printing. By bringing HP's proven expertise in digitization technology to the design and manufacturing industry within reach of everyone. HP is engaging the most brilliant minds through an open innovation platform, so developers, creators, makers, and designers can all realize their full potential. With our 3D printing technology and your vision, together we can launch the next industrial revolution.
So it's all about launching the next industrial revolution. And I was at the University of Monash in Australia a couple of months ago, and I saw a live jet engine being made on a 3D printed, and printing is a misnomer actually, it's a 3D manufactured machine. A normal jet engine takes 7 months to manufacture. This one on a 3D was done in 7 weeks. You can imagine the disruption and savings and the acceleration in innovation that this thing can cause. And so here is the big thing about India, how India can really leapfrog over here. We know the factories of the world today happen to be in countries like China, Taiwan, Korea, a lot of these companies. But all of that could change because 3D is a lot based on knowledge. It is based on the capabilities of software combined with the manufacturing capabilities. And India is a proven world leader in software. You said that 60% of the world's software gets exported out of India. So that's a great position to be in. So now when you combine our natural advantage as a country on 3D, on software, and the capabilities of 3D as a manufacturing capability, you can be the leaders in the industrial revolution for the next generation for India. And I think that's a great position for us to be in, to aspire for. Many organizations are already using it. You can see on the left, and I didn't mention Boeing over here. Boeing is also using a 3D in a very, very, very dramatic way now. All companies are using it. But the point which Ms. Chauhan mentioned about disruption of supply chain is so real. Assuming you go to a toy shop with your child and the child really likes a toy, whichever toy he or she likes. And then if there is a 3D machine, you can get it printed, manufactured then and there. Yeah. There goes away the requirement of stocking warehouses after warehouses of a product, of importing it in time, blocking your money, blocking your capital. It has a complete disruption, not only on the production, but on the business model as a whole. So it's so disruptive, it is just going to be changing the architecture of the way in which business gets conducted. And I think India has a very strong natural advantage there. So we can be the leaders to the world. So that's a great position to be in. And the last piece from my perspective is transforming workflows. And the workflow transformation is about, because there is so much of digitization has been talked about, it is almost coming together to say everything digital and everything as a service. Don't buy, use a service, And digital delivery of products, digital delivery of services is really the next avatar that we're going to see in the IT industry. So whether it is an office of the future, it is home of the future, it is digitized processes which take away the necessity of printing all the time. And I'm a printing company. You know, we run the largest printing franchise in the world. But something that can really make it so automated and augmented that you get into digitized processes. I'm sure all of you have tons of paper documents at your homes. You've got property papers, you've got insurance documents, you've got bond and share markets or whatever else you've got. If you haven't digitized them, sincere advice, do that. You don't know, paper has a tendency of fading away, of not staying forever. But a digitized way is a good way, because at least you can retrieve it whenever you want and it's easy to manage and manipulate. But transforming workflows also has an element of making sure that the IT infrastructure in your organization is agile, it's flexible, and almost it leads to creation of shadow IT, because normally in companies, in large companies, the IT processes take forever. They take a long time. But if you have to be agile and flexible, then you need to create shadow IT processes and application programming interfaces, or apps-driven IT environment is something that is bound to be something which is very good. So look, I can give you many, many more examples from personal learning, but also from my travel across the globe. But this is almost like a four-step journey. A four-step journey where any company can choose the path or the process they are in, the stages on which they are in, and then we can assist, we can help craft the whole plan and make sure that the process you want to choose, depending upon the journey you are on, or depending upon what your life cycle and what your maturity curve on the IT infrastructure is. And we can, because we have the solutions, we have the services, we have the products to make it real and come together. And really to give your business the competitive edge that it really requires to stay ahead and be successful forever. So that really is the journey that would be possible. And really from my perspective, welcome to the world of digital. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Rajiv Srivastava, for a very invigorating address and presentation. I request Ms. Sunita Quadras, Vice President and Business Head ETH, to present Mr. Srivastava with a small memento as a token of our appreciation.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Srivastava. Thank you, Ms. Quadras. We now move on to the panel discussion titled Digital Transformation for Enterprises, Taking the Step Forward. I'd first like to invite on the dais the moderator for the panel, Ms. Neha Punatar, Partner, Digital Advisory, KPMG. Ma'am, if you could kindly come on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ms. Neha Punatar. Now the panelists, I'd like to invite Mr. Golok Kumar Simli, Principal Consultant and Head of Technology, Passport Seva, India. Sir, if you could kindly come on stage. While we wait for him, I'd like to invite Mr. Uday Ghare, Head Digital Transformation, Tech Mahindra. Kindly put your hands together for Mr. Uday Ghare. Welcome, sir. Mr. Deepak Sharma, Chief Digital Officer, Kotak Mahindra Bank. Welcome, Mr. Sharma. Mr. Milind Kamath, Executive Vice President and CEO, Atos, India. Kindly put your hands together for Mr. Kamath. Welcome, sir. Mr. Vipul Anand, Group CIO, Jindal Steel and Power. Welcome, Mr. Anand. And Mr. Sashi Kumar Ravulapati, CTO, Reliance Capital Commercial Finance. Neha, over to you.
Now?
Good evening once again. I think we have the unenviable task of, capturing your attention at 9 p.m. and just before dinner, I think. So we'll try and make it interesting and more relevant. I think a lot of earlier sessions spoke about, how digital transformation is relevant and why we need to do it. So we won't get into that, but we have quite a diversified panel here, and representing a lot of industries. So what we're going to do today is kind of walk through how they have actually embraced digital transformation in their businesses. And when we talk digital, a lot of use cases and examples are more around the consumer sector. So I'm going to take it a bit different and maybe start first from the manufacturing industry. So, Mr. Vijay Anand, if you could share with us, how Jindal has gone about embracing the digital transformation, and what are some of the use cases or examples that you've seen in your industry?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Economic Times for having invited me at this prestigious forum. And my name is Vipul Anand. I represent Jindal Steel and Power in the capacity of Group CIO. And to address your question, I would like to take reference of the keynote address delivered by Honorable Minister, where you see government is doing a digital empowerment to the citizens, where a lot of initiatives including JAM, which is Jan Dhan Aadhaar, mobile, and then NKN and other things which were elaborated are being initiated. Since we represent manufacturing industry, we have been investing into technologies for ages. And Jindal Group is a reputed group, and we are spread across the domestic and international locations. And when it comes to technology, we have huge investments on technologies. But what we have of late found is that it is not the need of the hour that you keep on investing only in technologies. So therefore, we reinvented our digital roadmap. So we have a digital roadmap which is linked to our business roadmap, to our business plan, and which essentially includes all what has been talked about in today's sessions. And people are talking about IoT. So we have got a IoT enabled plate mill, which is the widest plate mill in the country in the state of Odisha, Angul. We are talking of mobility. So we have got our decision making system available on mobility. We have got a private sector largest power plant in the country, where the entire generation and distribution is controlled through mobile. Then when it comes to analytics, we have been awarded on utilization of analytics tools in the country, which are integrated with our central SAP system. So likewise, many used cases are there in our group. But to answer your question, there is a need to keep on reinvesting, reinventing the roadmap of IT, because what is the country saying? What is the ecosystem saying? Ecosystem is saying that personalization is the new bar. So the CIOs who are just developing the systems and pushing it onto their consumers are no more called successful CIOs. You have to personalize the things, for which you have to understand what is the business requirement. Then if you keep thinking small, it will destroy your financial results. So since we are a large group, we think large, and we think in terms of the overall perspective, having a common processes across the globe. So which is helping us out in our controlling our cost and thereby affecting our financial results also. Likewise, there are many other factors including culture, including how do you handle the ecosystems, including how do you put up the systems which are linked to the business, are some of the salient things which we have taken up in our organization, and I feel we have been successful in doing that.
Thank you. When you talk about digital, and Deepak, this is for you, how much of convergence is between organizations thinking digital and actually implementation on the ground? We have seen many CEOs and digital heads talk about the entire transformation journey. But do you think it's an easy journey? What are the challenges people face?
So I would say it's never easy. If you ask me this one question in one sentence, I can say it's not easy, especially if you are not born digital. So if your core DNA is not digital, it's not easy to change. More so if you are successful in the way you are running your existing business. There's always this challenge that if we have been successful for so long, why is there a need to change? And I think this is something which quite often across industry it resonates. So I think the bigger challenge is how do you bring about the realization that what got us here won't get us there? And I think bringing this entire theory into practice is about what is the single common minimum denominator that organization understands. I think when I talk in terms of banking parlay, we look at one of the common denominator that the entire organization understands is cost to income ratio. How do you continue to make sure that your costs are in control and your revenues are growing? It doesn't matter which business do you talk to. So digital cannot speak a language which the rest of the organization doesn't understand. I think digital has to speak the language of the organization. And as a chief digital officer, when I embarked on this journey, I realized it's not about technology, it's not about augmented reality, artificial intelligence, blockchain. I think we can talk about technology by dozen. It doesn't matter. What matters is how is this going to create shareholders' value? How is it going to bring customer satisfaction? How is it going to help organization increase revenue or reduce cost or bring efficiency or make sure that your risk and regulatory framework is pretty much under control? I think the moment we align organization's objective with digital imperatives, digital succeeds in any organization's context. And I think that's what my experience has been in our organization over the last 2.5 years.
Thanks, Deepak. I would ask Uday now, where you were providing basically digital services and especially a different sector, which is in the telecom sector. Would you agree with Deepak in terms of, in terms of the business kind of metrics that he spoke, which is both on the revenue side and cost side, would that be similar conversations that you're having even from a telecom sector?
So first of all, good evening, Honorable Minister and all the esteemed audience. And thanks to Economic Times for giving me the opportunity. So I think very interesting trends that I am seeing as a head of digital transformation for Tech Mahindra, especially on the telecom side, is the omni-channel experience initiatives that are going across all the telco and probably other verticals also. Whether it is banking or insurance and other verticals. I think the biggest challenge everyone is facing and where we are trying to help them out is that, as Deepak mentioned, they were not born digital, most of these organizations, especially the legacy organizations. So they had their cores which were legacy. Now there is a big challenge that customers are changing. The millennials demand things very fast. They want personalized offerings and they do get disappointed if your experience is not good at the, and they are connecting at different channels, whether it is retail channel, online channels, customer care. How do you, ensure that they get a seamless, consistent, and very rich customer experience? So I think 2 or 3 things that we are trying to do with all of our customers is, one, do you understand the customer empathy? So one point which I think was mentioned by Rajiv was, the customer-centric strategies. So it's not just customer-centric strategy, it's also employee strategy, So design thinking is one key thing which we are bringing forward for all the customers. And it's a very important aspect. Probably going forward in next 2-3 years, almost every IT design would focus on design thinking principles, which is starting from human as the center, empathy, whether it is for customers, whether it is for employees. And then going ahead to define the problem, ideate it, prototype it and test it. And you have to process this very fast. Okay. Second thing is the big question of where do I start? Should I start at the customer channel level or should I start at the core? The experience that we are seeing is customers are trying to do the customer experience piece, that is the channel transformation first. In the parallel, on a long-term strategy, transform their core. So that's what we are seeing. So I think definitely omni-channel is a big ticket item. And other important point is just not about experience of the existing customers. How do you create new business models using omni-channel? I think that is also been really used. For example, I'll just give you a simple example to quickly finish this point is, if I go in and buy a Fitbit, a health monitor in a telecom store as an accessory, that context that I bought a Fitbit actually goes back to the telecom, and they might just push a added data plan to me, saying that why don't you use a specialized data plan only for Fitbit? So it's these kind of upsells which also are being looked at in the omni-channel experience.
Thanks. Speaking of omni-channel and looking at alternate models of customer acquisition, Shashi, this is for you. From a lending perspective, looking at your core business, how do you see basically online lending kind of, contributing to your business? And do you see a challenge from, omni-channel experience between online and offline kind of businesses that you're doing?
Yeah, good evening and thank you for this opportunity. If you take the case of a financial services outfit and the kind of customers we deal with, it is not an experience that we would like to give to the customer which lasts for maybe for one transaction or two transactions. It is an association with the customer for a lifetime. That is what is the expectation. So in this long-term association with the customer, naturally the experience during every touch point and on every occasion, the experience has to at least sustain, if not improve, and then over a period of time, the improvement has to happen leap and bound. Now, therefore, we being the financial service being available on a digital platform is quite essential, and that is happening. And also one very, very critical thing that is happening in the digital space today, specifically on the lending side, is there are several fintech companies today who have come up and they are offering the same services at a very low cost and also at a time and at a place of the customer choice. And it happens almost on a real-time basis. Now, big players, if they don't catch up to this kind of process efficiency or an offering, then it is quite difficult to sustain. And this disruption is going to be very, very dangerous. So this has been realized at Reliance Commercial Finance as well. And we have already embarked on a customer experience as the main focus for us, not only delivering the service during onboarding or during a search analysis, but also sustained experience throughout the life cycle of our association with the customer. And most important thing is between multiple channels. If I start off on a specific channel, and because the process is going to be not as short as a minute or two, probably the customer is expected to spend slightly for a longer period, because let us say I ask him to upload his documents. Maybe at that particular point of time, he's not having an access to that documents, but he has already started the process on his mobile phone, and if he tries to cut off at that stage, naturally he has to pick up that same session on a different channel when he's accessing the new channel as well. So omni-channel is the requirement. It is not that there is a way by which I can avoid that. And during the whole process, the most important thing for a lending business, according to me and my peers as well, is the risk assessment and risk management. So unless I assess the risk of onboarding a customer at this juncture as accurately as possible, I don't think really I can provide a service on a real-time basis. That is our take.
From being omni-channel to basically looking at a connected world, and Milind, this is probably for you. We did talk about IoT, and Atos is doing quite a few projects. So maybe if you can share with the audience, where is it that you're finding IoT, gaining basically prominence, and which sectors do you think are more open to it?
Hello. So first of all, thank you for giving me an opportunity for the ET. Regarding your question about IoT, I think India is the country where IoT fits correctly. We are doing a very interesting use cases in the IoT world. The first one, we are very popular, and last 3 years we are working with Indian oil marketing companies. Today we have automated close to around 5,000 fuel stations using internet. The use cases for that, one is related to central monitoring. That is number one. Number two is the upkeep of the equipment at the petrol station. Third is the waste stock management. Fourth, compliances. And fifth, of course, there are a lot of malpractices which they want to track. So all the 5 cases we are implemented in that. Our plan going forward with oil ministry is to go around 20,000 fuel stations by 2018. The most important use case which oil marketing companies want to deploy is dynamic pricing, because the oil prices are changing. And today, even if the price comes in the morning, till the petrol station offers it to consumer, there is a big lag. So connecting these petrol stations, they want to go for dynamic pricing. So you can see the potential and the kind of issues a country like India faces, IoT can solve. The second, using the same platform, we are working with another energy company for connecting the wind turbines, because we have connected close to around 50 turbines for capturing the real-time data, seeing the utilization of turbines, how much it is doing, wind direction, preventive maintenance, and catching the heartbeat so that, loss of revenues you can do. Similarly, we are today are having close to around 700 hospitals where there are scanners which are deployed, and scanners required an ambient condition monitoring, because especially CT scanners had a lot of helium levels, and if they change, number one, wrong reading, number two, huge damage to the equipment. Okay, and we are able to reduce the cost and improve the accuracy by more than 40%. Of course, we work with the great giant with Siemens on that particular initiative. We also have a very interesting use cases in India with respect to cold chain, which is big problem all over the place. So we have connected close to around 700 cold storages using sensors and temperatures and monitoring, saying that where there is a possibility of having this particular problem. So if you see what these use cases, there are also a lot of learnings in that. I mean, most of the things I have mentioned, a lot of positives. But in this particular IoT part, there are many learnings. And I'm talking about, because India is not Mumbai or Delhi. When I say 5,000 fuel stations, they are all part of the rural India. The first biggest problem is, we say internet is available, but majority of the cases, the problem of communication is very high. So when we started, we faced this problem, and we learned that right from 2G to 5G, whatever, if at all it comes, you should be able to communicate on all those channels. So we modified and adopted our one, that if you don't get a signal, try to transmit the data using SMSs. So that is number one. Number two, as we go in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, power situation is very chaotic. So all your solution needs to have a power solution which is homegrown, either using solar or batteries. So we are also having our own power solution developed with this. When we connected turbines, when we connected petrol stations, that 8 hours of solar power the batteries and it should run 24 hours. So there are positive and negatives, but country like India, and especially with the government help in rural areas, I think there is a huge opportunity of IoT looking at these keys. And these are reference cases and people can use it. I mean, they are in public domain as well.
Thank you, Milind. So we had a list of points to discuss, but given the paucity of time, maybe what we'll do is open the floor to the audience. And if anybody has questions, because I think we have a very good representation on the panel today across sectors. So anybody would like to ask a question to the panel? Maybe we can do 5 minutes of Q&A. I'll ask a list of questions if we don't hear from you. So, all right. So I've told there's no Q&A, and I've been asked to kind of close the session. So thank you, everyone, and thanks for your time.
It's really unfortunate because we've overshot time on the previous sessions. We've had to close this session early. Ladies, gentlemen, I request you to stay on the dais. I request Mr. Aman Kanjlia, Senior Director Conferences, Times Conferences Limited, to present each of our panelists and the moderator with a memento as a token of our appreciation. Thank you very much, and once again apologies to all of you all for a very truncated panel discussion. We now have the privilege of listening to Mr. Vineet Goenka, Member, IT Task Force, Ministry of Road, Transport and Highways and Shipping, Government of India, to deliver a special address titled Digital Readiness, Aiding Governance Through Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Vineet Goenka. Thank you.
Namaste, everybody. I know this is evening and it's time to wind up, or am I early here? Friends, let me first congratulate our armed forces for the strikes which they did today, and I think we all are happy about that particular part. I'm going to quickly jump on what I've been asked to do without any kind of, journal talks or pap. If you have questions, I would request you to interrupt and ask me what is there. Well, before I accepted the invitation to come here and we were thinking about what we have done and what we would like to talk, I thought of breaking my entire conversation with you into 3 parts. 1, the opportunity available for the trade and everybody here. And 2, the case study where we have done something in the government right now. Well, these figures are well known. Everybody has seen this many times. What excites me is the figures around, and which has been growing every day. With these figures, the importance of internet and our life has been known to me. And this particular slide would talk to you about the entire thing. 1995, the mobiles were introduced, and today I see hell lot of citizens holding a mobile and internet in their hand. Well, when we were going through the task force and we were seeing through the challenges, we thought about something and we said we'll have a case study. Let me take you to a village In Haryana, Rajiv, probably one of your companies did that. I think that was an experiment. E-Health Center was HP's case? Yeah. So what happened is, we all have gone through medical emergencies in our life, and we could find some housewives going through routine loose motions. Now what an example to be given on this particular stage. Nobody bothered, because what do you do when you have loose motions? Anybody has ever faced this situation? None of you? Nobody wants to admit that. You pop up certain pills in your mouth, right? You just take 1 or 2 tablets and put it in your mouth and it solves. And that is to happen in the same village in Haryana. Hisar, to be better. They would pop up certain tables and things used to happen. Nobody bothered about it. What happened is, somebody sitting in Bangalore or some other place identified that these are these 20 ladies who have this problem every Tuesday. Nobody was bothered, not even that lady themselves. The second thing they identified is that this lady is, those are the ladies who are plus 50 years. Now how does it excite to us there in the task force? And every Tuesday this is to happen. So somebody recommended them that, why don't you do one thing? You check what you are eating. So they change their eating habits. They change their fasting habit. Any guess what was the reason of this medical condition? Any guess? Then they identify the medical condition is not because of their body, not because of their eating habits. It was their religious practice. Every Monday morning they would go to religiously to the temple, put some water on the shivling, drink that, and that was probably troubling them. And what was the solution? It was not a medical solution. Simple. Now the village has started cleaning the temple on Sundays. So the ladies go, still performs the same religious function. They drink the same prasad from that temple. And now they are not getting this problem of loose motions. What we learned from this case is medical solutions found in a non-medical way. The simple thing in your language probably is what data analytics, which probably you did in that EHC case, right? E-Health Center case. And Rajiv, I was quite impressed with this. So when we said that the problem lies outside the box, and we were reading this, and this came to our knowledge, the World Bank report. Out of the 7.4 billion people on this earth, 7 billion people have been covered under internet. They have been covered. But only 5.2 billion people, they carry mobile. And if you zero down, then 1.1 billion people have something which is called as high-speed internet. And the scope is almost around 6 billion people. Where do we stand as a country? As a country, when we're reading 30 crore of us been connected, and rest of us are still not to be connected. Then came this particular slide in front of us. Where do I count my country? Emerging market or transitioning stage? And here I would like to tell you something. We thought of bringing in changes which will probably excite you all. The engagement with people. Small engagements. Have you seen the app which has come from NHI? You can tell us where there is a pothole. Can people be empowered? And that was one particular question being asked by us. Finally, friends, under digital transformation, we thought of this 3 particular part which I would like to talk is the digital infrastructure space. Can we provide services of government to common man, the last man under Antyodaya, on his demand? Can he get his birth certificate, death certificate? Simple application of passport through his mobile. And that's the whole idea which we have. Can he do things sitting at his home using that simple small mobile in his hand? Can we empower the citizen to escalate matters of governance to the people sitting on the helm of the affairs? And so you see these 9 pillars which came down, and the 9 pillars we talk about. And one of the good things is that How do we have reforming government? How do we have governance through electronics? And then all started. Why I'm skipping these slides? Because I want to rush to a slide which I want to talk maximum. So I would not like to talk about MyGov or Digital Locker because all of you have used it, you have talked about it, probably you do the presentation. But the last line, will this transformation or use of technology bring in transparency? Will it increase the productivity, that is the efficiency part? Ease of doing business? Will it increase the speed? And these 4 questions were put on my appointment letter. When I got that appointment letter of task force, it had only 2 lines. Leveraging information technology for economy, transparency, speed. Friends, I am not here to tell you what we have achieved because all of us tell this through media to you. I am here to express this particular slide. Now you have understood why I rushed to all the earlier slides. This is the slide which excites me the most. Because this is where I'm trying to find out solution. And if you have a solution, I would request you all to share that with me. Even when we talk about the high penetration of internet in India, it's only 30 crore people, 331 to be precise. There is a challenge. We have a snail-paced broadband. Do you have somebody who can help us out in that? The speed. So we talked about connectivity, consistent connectivity, dependable connectivity, a minimum speed, and cost-effective connectivity. Can a farmer afford 2.8 Mbps so that he can actually share a video of the pest sitting on his leaf to the agriculture officer sitting in the district headquarters and said, "Saab, mere ped pe ye keeda laga hai, iske koi dawai batao." And that is a day when we will be actually using internet for growth. That will contribute to us. Can I have a mobile which is with 2.8 Mbps in the classroom where the student takes up the video of the teacher while he's teaching or she's teaching and uses that video for his revision or sharing it with other friends saying that, "Hey, my teacher taught me today this lesson," which is a fantastic lesson. Small things that will probably impact us. We are happy, we are connected, we have data centers. I'm sure there are multinational companies sitting in this room. But why we send our data outside? Can't we have a sovereign data policy? Can't we have data within the boundaries? Why should we share it out? Why should a sister in Chennai do a suicide because somebody forged her Facebook account? And by the time the data was shared with the police, things were so hard that she had to give her life. This is a small, simple example. I can give bigger examples. Why would somebody, there can be a data security issue, there can be things with what is happening on the borders. I'm sure tomorrow they will not fire us back. There may be bloodless war. Are we equipped under Meghraj or other policies where we have our data centers which have got capabilities to have data within the sovereign boundaries? So the second line which impacts me and which gives me a sleepless night is incomplete ecosystem. I see people carrying in this room best of the phones, best of the mobiles. But the moment I come out of this room and I go to the rickshaw driver here, is denied the basic component in his hand. An internet-based mobile. A good speed of 2.8 Mbps. Probably few of you can do it. And the last line puts my head down. What happened in Olympics, we had best wishes to all our sports people, but we came back empty-handed. We have 125 crore people. And out of the 125 crore people, I'm very sure that this room has best 125 people. You are very capable. You all think better than me, better than anybody else. Why do we have to buy every time from outside? Why do we have to pay license fee? The time of military colonization is over. The world order saw colonization through weapons only till 1950s. They react. So you saw in Kuwait, right? Iraq did an aggression. There was somebody else who came and protected Kuwait. Nobody's come to your house and they're going to put a gun on your head. Whatever you saw that today's small theater, this is a part of show. This is not this thing. We are not happy with that show. Nobody wants to do that kind of show. But what you're going to face is they're going to come to your house and shoot you with licenses. How much R&D do we have? Can we go back to our IITs? Can we go back to our RACs and tell them, hey, file patents? We as a country, we have not filed even 2,000 plus patents. Japan, what is the geographical size compared to us? What is the population size? And they filed almost around 40,000 patents. So the 125 people sitting here, the entire reason I came here is that can I request you that we match these numbers in next couple of years. We supersede them. We have a lot of R&D to be done. So enough of Rona Dona. I think this is done. Now let me talk about what is the good case and what is the silver lining. Before I come on this, if you get a chance, please Google out 3 particular words. Have you ever tried to Google something called as Enam Pro in your life? This thing? If you can just try that, Enam Pro or E-Pace, E-P-A-C-E. Try that. Do you have mobiles in your hand right now? If you just search that. E space P-A-C-E. You would find that what we did in our Ministry of State of Road Transport and Highway, simple monitoring system. If there is a project going on in a place called as Toru in Meghalaya, I don't fly my engineer there. A daily updated report of the work done. Simple, what we were doing in corporates all these decades. We put in that. Resultant is that the minister is equipped every minute with the progress report. He can monitor it, he can influence it. ये project में 4 किलोमीटर क्यों नहीं बढ़ा है पता कर सकता है. And you know what is the result? One simple intervention. And I'm sure each of you have been using this kind of MIS tools throughout your life. We started our journey in 2014 with 8 kilometers per day, and you would have heard the minister 25 plus kilometers. That's the one simple tool called as E-Pace. How many people in this room come from the consulting background? Most of you come from the consulting background, right? And the good part of the consulting background is, if you have a tender talking about making bridge, then there is Mr. Abhyankar, who is the bridge consultant. Tomorrow you have a tender coming out with something with tunnel. Abhyankar also makes tunnel. You want to make a railroad, Abhyankar makes railroad. And he changes his biodata every time. 5 companies file the same resume. So what we did is very, very small kind of evaluation system of consultancies and the professionals who are associated with us. Every time now you will go through something called as Infracon, where you declare who this guy is. So if Abhyankar is a tunnel expert, he becomes tunnel expert once for all. He can't change his. A small element of IT brings in transparency and accountability. And something called as Enam Pro. This is what I think Minister spoke about in 3 days back or 4 days back. A road being made from Baddi to Chandigarh procures cement from Telangana. A road being made between Coimbatore to Chennai procures cement from somewhere in Chandigarh or Punjab. We have just put in this Enam Pro, I-N-A-M-P-R-O. We have asked them, you choose your own vendors, you choose your own rate, but you have to do this through this particular exchange. Resultant is, now they have a window. Where is the stock lying? What is the quotable rate? And if the contractor can procure same standard of cement at lesser cost, I'm sure that will impact the entire treasury in a large way. This is 3 things which were implemented in the MORTH, that is the Road and Transport and Highway Department. Changed our way. And the one which you are seeing on the screen is what makes me happy, because when you search this online vehicle smart model, You do away with this white shirt policeman standing there and monitoring your speed because he's no more needed. We all are worried about the time which we take. In the toll plaza. So we are worried about our standing on the toll plaza, saying that कि आप मेरे से 30 के बदले में 35 रुपए ले लीजिए, लेकिन toll plaza में मत खड़े करिए. We never thought about the boy sitting inside the toll plaza, who only does this action. Every minute he is giving out a chit. And here, this particular technology, OVSM, does away with your requirement to stand on a toll plaza, requirement of standing there on the signal. Neither you have to wait for a parking plaza. If this is implemented properly, probably we will be collecting your fees and fines before you go to a fueling station. So you go to a fueling station, you pay this, and that's it. So you can go through this particular slide. Friends, I thought I'll just share this with you. I would like to thank the organizers for calling me here and all of you to give me a patience hearing. If you have any questions, I am available downstairs there. You can always ask me the questions later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vineet Goenka. Sorry for pushing you on the time aspect, but thank you for your understanding. I'd like to request Mr. Aman Kanjlia to kindly present Mr. Vineet Goenka with a memento as a token of our appreciation. Thank you, Mr. Goenka. Thank you so much. Thanks, Aman. Okay, we now move on to the felicitation ceremony. This felicitation is a recognition of the good work some of the senior members of the IT industry have done that has helped their organization to stand out from their competition. May I now invite on the dais the Honorable Minister of State for Information and Technology, Shri P.P. Chaudhary. Along with him, I'd like to invite the Managing Director of HP India, Mr. Rajiv Srivastava, and Ms. Sunita Quadras, VP and Business Head, ET Edge, to join the Honorable Minister in doing the honors. Kindly come on stage. I'll call out the names one by one. The first name is Mr. Vishwanath Ghosh, CIO Corporate, Mahindra & Mahindra. Unfortunately, Mr. Vishwanath Ghosh is not here, so Mr. Richard D'Souza, Vice President and Head Business Solutions Corporate IT, Mahindra & Mahindra, will come and receive the honors on his behalf. Thank you, Richard. Please convey our congratulations to Mr. Vishwanath Ghosh. I'd now like to invite on the dais Mr. Gangadhar S.J. IT, Bajaj Allianz Life Insurance, to receive the honors. Congratulations, Mr. Gangadhar. Just for your information, along with the certificate, each of those called up to receive the honors receives a laptop from HP. Thank you. The next person I'd like to call on the dais is Ms. Harmeen Mehta, Global CIO, Bharti Airtel, to receive her honors. Congratulations, Armin. Well done and all the best. The next recipient is Mr. Prakash Paranjpe, CIO Idea Cellular, who is out of the country at the moment. And I request Mr. Hitesh TK, President IT, and Ms. Tejasvi Bishnoi, Vice President IT at Idea Cellular, to receive the honor on his behalf. If you could come up, please. Kindly convey our congratulations to Mr. Prakash Paranjpe, gentlemen. Mr. Raja Ukil, Senior VP and CIO Wipro. Can you kindly come up on stage to receive your honors? Congratulations, Raja. All the best. And the final one, Mr. Rajiv Garg, Executive Director, CS and IT, BHEL. Can you kindly come up on stage, sir, to receive your honors? Congratulations, Mr. Garg. Well done. And we wish all those who were felicitated the very best. A big thank you to the Honorable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Srivastava. And thank you, Sunita. And with that, I'd like to call Mr. Aman Kanjle, Senior Director Conferences, Time Conferences Limited, to deliver the vote of thanks. Before Aman gives the vote of thanks, I'd like to tell you that after this we will break so that you can swipe your RFID cards that were given to you at the registration at the HP booths. You could be one of the 5 lucky winners, and that will be decided in 10 minutes from now. So you have 10 minutes to do that. I know you've been seated here very patiently, so you get time after this. In 10 minutes we will announce the 5 lucky winners. Aman, could you come on?
Good evening. Honorable Minister of State for Information and Technology, Government of India, Shri P.P. Chaudhary. Your presence was indeed heartening, and the insights you shared were well received by all delegates here. Thank you so much. The evening also witnessed eminent speakers, including the Principal Secretary of Directorate of IT, Government of Maharashtra, Shri V.K. Gautam, Shri Vineet Goenka, Member Task Force IT and Ministry of Road Transport, Highways and Shipping, Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhan, Managing Director and CEO, Bombay Stock Exchange, and Mr. Karan Johar. On behalf of ET Edge, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each one of you for taking time out from your busy schedules and enlightening us with your thoughts, wisdom, and ideas. Shri Vineet Goenka, thank you for enlightening us, showing us how technology is aiding governance. A special mention to our keynote speakers, Shri V.K. Gautam and Shri Ashish Kumar Chauhan, who inspired us with their words and showed us how technology can go a long way in transforming businesses. Mr. Karan Johar, we've always enjoyed your movies. And like your movies, the insights you gave us today on how digital evolution has helped transform cinema was truly magical. Thank you so much. I would also like to express my gratitude to all eminent speakers who enthralled us with the discussions on digital strategies and transformation. But as always, this evening would have been incomplete had it not been for this wonderful and participative audience. It is because of all of you that gives us the courage and confidence to create such knowledge-sharing platforms that I'm sure would have or will or is benefiting all of us. I especially thank all of those who flew into Mumbai, especially to be part of this summit. Most importantly, I would like to thank HP for joining hands with ET and co-creating this wonderful, enriching summit on enterprise digital transformation. We look forward to your continuous support for all future endeavors. I hope you all had enjoyed this evening as much as I did. Thank you.
Thanks, Aman, and quickly a big thank you to our title partner HP, powered by Intel, media partner Stuff Magazine, the tech portal Inc. 42, association partner CIO Club, and live webcast partner 24 Frames Digital. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. Enjoy your cocktails and dinner, and do remember to swipe your RFID cards at the HP rectangular white booths that are there in the HP counter. The announcement of the 5 lucky winners will be done in 10 minutes from now. Thank you very much.